Heads up, goody peepees, the audio for this episode is kind of bad for 10 or 15 minutes, and then it resumes its normal quality later for the rest of the episode. Sorry for the inconvenience. Coming to you live, where the hosts have super tall hair on the show podcast known as
Trapped Under Plastic, the podcast where everyone claps for you.
Hey, I noticed your hair was very tall today. And my hair's kind of, I got some bump always,
Yeah.
I got to hide that receding hairline.
You go high. I think you need to start going high and then swoop back in front.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, okay.
Like a pompadour, like a reverse pompadour.
Yes, and that has the benefit of bringing the hairline forward.
Yeah.
So you can't see, like, up here into the reaches.
And you can even style it each morning to act like giant eyebrows to like mimic your mood.
I love the idea of your hair becoming eyebrows. Like, what does that even look like? I don't even know.
I think we have the power.
We have the technology.
Yeah. Scott, we're going to get into the Preamble Ramble. Want to let everybody know, right off the get-go, we took a detour right before the start of this podcast and changed topics on a dime.
On a dime, which we can do, because we're agile.
Yeah, we're agile, we're swift, we're accurate.
Yeah. Waterfall, all those terms. From software engineering that I forgot.
So we're just telling you up front in case it sucks.
Oh, it's going to be great.
It's going to be the best one ever.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
That's why we decided. But, Scott, you just wrote down Dune.
Start on Dune. One thing I didn't mention on my amazing vacation to Greece, which everyone really appreciated that story. Also, I thought it was hilarious that Alex, he put the timestamp to get out of the gross stuff after my story was done, but then immediately you went into like story about your dad pulling worms out of your dog's asshole. So everyone was like, I think that timestamp should have been a little bit longer. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go change it. I thought he put it like in the description, but no, it was a baked in edit element. And I was like, okay, well, I can't change that.
No, that is Alex. Like, it's his own way of
trolling.
I love it.
That's amazing.
You can't trust anything.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway, so I was in Greece and I read a ton. Like, I don't normally read a whole lot, and I ended up getting all the way through Dune Messiah and which is a short book, but then I got through the whole next one too, which is like 600 pages, Children of Dune. So now I'm on to God Emperor of Dune, and spoilers, there's like trees and forests on Arrakis now, and Leto the Second is still the God Emperor of Dune. He's like an awful person, and it's really cool. I'm enjoying it a lot.
You are further than I ever got then.
Oh, okay.
Because I always heard that like it takes a pretty sharp dive off a cliff.
I don't like my critique. I don't know how to describe this, but I haven't read enough books to know what makes a good book, My background in reading and enjoying books is enjoying Warhammer books, So, like, I have a very low expectation level, so I'm enjoying all of them. I think they're all really fun, and they have, like, cool things.
I think that is perfectly cool. Like, I think that is acceptable.
Because
if you get into it, and obviously the first book is, first of all, it's mammoth in size.
Yeah.
So you're already invested in that regard. You love like the setting.
I love the setting. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You are invested, and you should ride that for as long as they create things that still excite you with it. And it's not like the bullshit Star Wars books where it's like all over fucking everywhere and none of it connects or links to the setting or a core story elements or anything like that.
Have you read a Star Wars book?
When I was in high school, so my high school was so small. I remember when I was in elementary, my school was so small we didn't have a middle school. It went K through 6 and then 7 through 12 was a high school. So when you were in 7th grade, you were in high school. But when I was in the 4th grade, my mom was a teacher, and in the summers, I'd get to go and just hang out at the school, and my mom was prepping and stuff, and I'd run around the school. And I'd go in the library. It's a tiny library, but there was one small sci-fi and fantasy section.
Yes.
And so that is honestly kind of like the origin story of me becoming a nerd.
I love that.
Yeah, so like I would go to, I'd love like He-Man and Transformers and Ninja Turtles and that shit. And then I go and found this section, just look at the cover art of the Dragonlance novels and the Star Wars books and stuff. So between like 4th and 6th grade, I had read a bunch of Star Wars books. And again, you're young and you don't know what's a good book or what's not. And you're not a great reader too, so it's like it's hard to absorb all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I look back on it and I was like, oh, those are not good.
Yeah.
Granted, these were like 80s Star Wars books. I'm not sure if there's anything better since then.
Yeah. I will say the one thing that I'm not super keen on, and it's because I think it's the type of, I don't know if it's the kind of reader that I am, but like I came from a background of like Christian Bible studies. I did a lot of that like in my 20s. And so the way you do that, or one way you do that, is by reading passages really slowly and asking about like what's the meaning in all of these words, like why is it said this way, what's the different translations, what's like the like it's called, it has a term, I forget what it is, but it's very drilled down. Whenever I read a passage of Paul Atreides or any of his offspring being alone and talking to themselves or thinking in a chapter, it's just like full-on Bible verses. It's like I could spend a long time trying to understand this straight-up poetry.
Yeah.
But I will fucking lose my mind and I'll never finish this book because it's every other chapter.
Or you'll turn it into a religion.
Yeah, you know, who knows? Yeah, so it's like there are many times in that book where it's like, what the fuck are you saying? Like I'm totally lost, and I really struggle with being totally lost. Like it's like a hang up for me. I really want to understand everything being said. I look up every single like word that I don't know, and actually I read it on a Kindle for the first time ever in my life. And it's fucking amazing. You can highlight a word, and it'll look it up in the dictionary, it'll look it up in Wikipedia, and it'll look it up in this other tool. I don't know what it is. But like even if it's not a real word, which very often it isn't when Frank Herbert's writing, it'll tell you like this is this thing in the Dune universe. And it's so nice because you can just do it right there in the book. And that was super helpful. But like I need that. Otherwise I kind of get lost really quickly.
Google, what is a Snorfblatt?
Exactly.
Don't. Okay, so touch on two really important things here.
Really
One,
important things.
What you're talking about trying to gather the deep, true meaning,
the deep lore
of characters' insights and what it really pertains to, and tying that to like a Bible study background is exactly how the Church of Scientology started.
People who studied Paul Muad'Dib's writings. Literally.
Yeah, L. Ron Hubbard, baby. Let's all dig deep.
No, you're right, actually. You're right. That is true. I remember. Yes. Yeah.
So you're real close to starting a new relationship. You just need Tom Cruise on board.
Okay. We got him.
And the other thing is that I actually think that I take away from, I really want and I admire that you could at least even consider doing that, because there's a level of like legitimacy to an author, and like do they really is there something deeper in there, right?
Yeah.
In most books, especially in the kind of genres that we read, I just kind of assume there's not, you know? Right? And that's not a bad thing. It's like it's
they're just saying things for the sake of saying them. I can't live in a world where that's true.
Right, for progressing the story. And there is maybe some inner workings of understanding a character and the character's growth and their motivations and all that kind of stuff. That's in there. But something far deeper, and that it will push you to really understand and even maybe get some foresight of like later on, because I really kind of analyzed this. When he makes this decision later, you can be like, oh, I could see this. I saw it coming, or now that makes sense, and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Or it's like loosely related. It's not like super like specific. Right. It's like kind of like a metaphor or something. Right.
It goes back to like English classes when you were in school and you'd read books, and the English teacher would be like, why was this character thinking this, and why was it, breaking down sections.
Yes.
And you're like, oh my gosh, that's why these are great works of literature, right? Because you could do that.
Yeah.
And I just assumed, and never really consciously thought about this, that those books is this small shelf of books that you could do that for. But most books you couldn't.
You're right. You're right in thinking that probably some people are doing it intentionally and others are kind of phoning it in a little bit, right? That has to be true.
Right.
So I just don't know, is Frank Herbert doing it or is he not doing it?
I don't know.
Like, it's really hard to understand, and I'm not giving it the time of day. I did very early on reading the first one for like a little bit, and then I was like, I can't do this, I'm going to die. Like, it's too much work.
Oh my God, yeah. And it's those, especially that first book, and I they're so dense.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much, like my brain will get overloaded if I try to. I can't get through 2 pages without being overwhelmed if I'm trying to like really actively think through everything there. What this leads me to believe is we need to have a tough book club.
Hey!
We gotta read a book and then we have to like post our thoughts and discussions on things or whatever.
I'll read 1 book a year. That's what I can commit to.
Man, you need to start reading if you want to just some feel good, really fun, like sword and sorcery,
dude.
Great books. You need to start reading Joe Abercrombie.
I just need. What I need to message you a week before I go on a vacation, and I need to ask for a book, and then I just need to buy it. Because like what happens inevitably is that I wait too long. It's the day before I have to go on a plane, and I just buy the next book in the Dune series because that's all I know at the moment. I don't read a lot of books, and like I don't know what else to do. Like I sometimes consider reading the Witcher series. That seems like fun.
It's very heavy.
Is it fucking heavy?
It's heavy, and it's the translation because it's originally written in
Polish, I think, right?
Yeah, Polish.
Yeah.
It's a little bit choppy.
Okay.
So it's good, but tell me next time you go. Yeah. I will bring a book for you. In fact, we're kind of a lead-in to something I want to talk about today with VinciCon. Maybe if you're gonna want to like, I always read a little bit before bed. If you want to get into a book, I'll bring you a book, my friend.
Okay.
I'll bring you a book. So yeah, I'm excited. Excited for fucking reading time.
Instead of watching Love Island, we'll read.
No, we're gonna watch Love Island.
How do we even get Love Island? Do you have like Hulu on his TV or some shit like that?
I think so. Or maybe you streamed it from your phone.
Maybe something like that.
I think he has on that TV in that bedroom. This is behind the scenes of Vince's house. He's got a big TV in that bedroom.
Yeah.
And I think it's logged into all their streaming services.
Yeah,
already.
it's like a hotel. Yeah, it's like Vince's Airbnb, dude.
Yeah, we just jumped in, and then like whatever is going to be recommended for the next person that stays in
it's
that
like,
room.
Who started Love Island?
All of these shows. I think we need to like bombard every streaming service with the most trash stuff that offers.
Oh yeah. Well, ask my wife what she watches, and we'll just do all of that. Sorry, Amber.
Oh man. There's got to be some Real Housewives you can get out there.
Oh yeah, probably yeah.
There was something that you had here. I saw Alien.
Yeah.
So I was going to talk about a movie that I watched.
Did you watch Alien Romulus?
No, but I watched a movie that's very similar to Alien. I do want to watch the Romulus Maneuver, but I haven't seen that yet. Here's a little behind the scenes. I think I mentioned this before. Oftentimes when I have a heavy week, or at least a heavy couple of days where I'm just painting and recording, or in this case, building a base, I will put on free YouTube movies.
Mm-hmm.
There's a channel, and it's all free. And
you're like, I don't question it.
Movies. It's by YouTube. YouTube is the one that does it. It's the YouTube official channel, and they move out all the time. And there's a movie called Life.
Yeah.
Have you seen Life?
With Robert Pattinson?
No.
Oh.
It's got a younger. It's not that old of a movie, but it's got.
I definitely know it. I don't know if I've seen it though.
Ryan Reynolds.
Oh.
And who's the guy that? Donnie Darko.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Also has Rebecca Ferguson, and also Sonata, the guy from the show about that takes place in Japan.
Yes.
Yeah. That guy.
Yeah. Shogun.
Yes. Him too.
Yes. Really good movie.
Yeah.
I was like, it's a earlier Ryan Reynolds career movie. It's a comedic role and stuff. It is heavy. It is intense. It is really fucking good, and it's like the science on it. Usually when they have sci-fi movies that are related to like more like real time sciencey things and alien-y things, the science is just kind of like a throwaway thing.
Yeah.
There's they get into it, and they get into like the biology, and they get into like this being and it being a single cell organism, and them examining it as scientists, and it takes place all on the International Space Station, so it's a real location that feels science fiction-y, but it's also relatable and not. It's a really good movie. If you haven't seen it, especially if you're in you've seen it?
I've seen it a long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah, because I rated it on Letterboxd. I didn't write a review, and so I did that at the very beginning when I first got Letterboxd.
How many tendies did you give it?
I did not give it many tendies. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but the problem is I can't remember why. Like, it looks cool. It'd be something that I would like. Also, if I watched it like 10 years ago and I watch it like now, I'll have a totally different opinion on it. Same director as the guy who did Morbius, for what, which I know got some shit. I like it. I mean, I like the movie a lot. So I probably like it too.
I need to watch Morbius.
You don't. You
Yeah, I
absolutely do not need to.
If there is a TV on the plane to Vincey's, I'll Google up me some Morbius.
Okay.
Or I can pre-download it on my phone. It's got to be available somewhere, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
It's probably on Disney Plus. Is that a Disney thing?
I don't think
Or it's
so.
not that
I
Marvel
think that's
Studios.
the Sony Marvel stuff.
Okay.
So I don't know where that'd be.
All right, so I watched a movie. They had Labyrinth on there.
Ooh,
I watched that. I've probably seen that movie, one of the most movies I've seen the most times in my entire life.
Yeah, I asked this question to my Twitch viewers. I was like, how many of you rewatch movies? Because my wife does not do that. She's not into that. And like everyone was like, of course, we rewatch movies. And I was curious, what was the movie people rewatched most? And for you, it's Labyrinth, maybe?
Probably the most is either Goonies or The Big Lebowski.
Okay.
But I've also seen Django Unchained.
I was gonna say,
a shitload.
I was expecting a Quentin Tarantino movie.
Yeah, I've watched every. The thing is, though, why is because if I'm in the mood to rewatch a Tarantino movie, I've got a ton.
Yeah.
And so I've probably watched every Tarantino movie at least 25 times. But if you add those all together, it's
25 times?
yeah,
Like,
other than Jackie Brown, I don't watch that one as much.
You watched Django Unchained 25 times?
Yes.
Holy shit, bro.
Yeah, it's so good.
Wow.
So
I
good.
don't think I've watched a single movie that many times. Like, that is... I mean, like, maybe, I don't know, but like that's crazy to me. Probably like Star Wars is probably like up there, but not fucking 25.
Yeah, but also some of those, a lot of the times is I also watch Super Troopers so many times.
Oh my god, bro, that's so on brand.
Yeah, I mean, if you want like a core, like what's John's personality in a movie, it's Super Troopers.
Yeah, that movie fucking rocks.
It's so fucking good. I will do a lot of other things when I rewatch movies because I don't need to catch everything because I know what's happening.
Yeah.
So it's while I'm painting, it's while I'm playing online poker or playing a video game or, cleaning or, doing all sorts of stuff, organizing magic cards, whatever. Like, I've always been, ever since I started working at a video store in high school, I was just like, I just feels good to always have a movie on.
I love that.
So, yeah, you need to watch Super Troopers 20 more times. What about you? What was yours?
Movie that I watched the most?
Yeah.
Probably a Star Wars movie. Or like maybe like there's like a movie that I watched like as a kid a lot because we had it on VHS, but I can't really remember any that stand out a lot. I remember like some classic Walter movies, like A Christmas Story, or like I can't even like I'm struggling to think of some right now, but maybe I watched a lot of those as like a younger kid, but
A lot of Lifetime movies.
yeah, tons of Lifetime movies, dude. I actually, not unironically, but like I've chosen to watch Lifetime movies in the past because they're just so much fun to make fun of.
Oh my gosh,
they're so ridiculous.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I had a girlfriend in college that just loved them and would want to like spend like 2 or 3 weeknights every week watching them, and I was just like, this ain't gonna last.
Oh my god!
Last. I'm sorry. It was a sign I should have paid attention to earlier. Eventually, I had to rip that Band-Aid off. Yeah, that's about like you mentioned Star Wars. It makes me think like Lord of the Rings too, and I've seen Lord of the Rings a bunch of times, but actually a lot less times than I probably would prefer to watch it because it feels like it's a heavier lift.
It is. Yeah.
I feel like I need to watch the whole story arc, and if I'm going to sit down for 2 hours or have something going on or whatever, we'll often actually, we've done it before in our D&D sessions where we'll just have like a Lord of the Rings movie on, but we keep the volume. Even like when the Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering set came out, there would be like tournaments, drafts, and the pre-release and stuff, and the dude at the store had a giant TV, and he'd play all the movies and stuff. And so, but the good thing about that is there's often really good atmospheric music too.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
it still fits kind of if it's the theme of the game you're playing. So.
Absolutely.
So.
Have you ever been to like a live orchestra that plays the music for a movie while the movie plays?
No.
Dude, I recommend it. Like, I did it for Star Wars. Amber, like, bought tickets for, like, my birthday one year, and it was so fucking cool. And they do They do Lord of the Rings. They do Harry Potter.
It's like, I would
Star
do
Wars.
HP.
Yeah, that it's so fucking sick.
Oh,
It's
man.
so cool.
God damn. I love that. Now I want to go see Harry Potter with orchestra.
Oh, that'd be so cool. I mean,
Where-
Halloween thing too, dude. Come on, bro.
Oh,
that soundtrack is like Halloween incarnate. This is gonna be the longest Preamble Ramble. That was just Dune, you know.
Sorry.
We just said Dune, and we're like, man, we could talk forever. We should be on a podcast, you know.
True. But now you say Alien on here, so let's talk for another 20 minutes on that.
Okay, I saw Alien Romulus. Wait, don't you want to say something? I feel like I'm taking all the airtime.
No,
here.
I talked about watching Life, and then we talked about movies we've seen now. I said enough words. You go back to Alien.
Okay. I saw Alien Romulus, and it was fucking awesome. I recommend it. So many awesome practical effects, such a return to classic Alien form. But when seeing that movie, do you know, like, the lore of Alien? Do you know the story of Alien? Like, from Prometheus onward? Like the prologue movies?
Vaguely, I've seen
Vaguely?
them all. I've seen them all.
Okay, because
but-
I didn't. Like,
Okay.
I didn't really understand, like, what... Because I saw, like, Alien 1, like, 10 years ago. And then, like, Aliens, like, 6 years ago. And then, like, I saw, like, Prometheus at some point. Like, none of it made sense to me. They all seemed like individual, basically anthology movies that took place in the Alien universe. But I saw Romulus, and I was like, okay, I need to go back and watch all of them, like, in order. And so I did that. And I also discovered there's so many shorts, too. One that stood out a lot was one they made for the release of Prometheus to advertise it. They made a YouTube video where it's Wayland, young Wayland, doing a TED Talk. He's literally on a TED Talk stage, giving like his speech for what he thinks the direction humanity is going. And it's like, you know, it's like you can see the writing on the wall for like how he's like an evil like person. And like it leads into the Prometheus mission, and like they actually add a lot of wonderful context to like the story that's kind of necessary. But yeah, like I'm like super deep into that franchise right now, and loving all like the little tiny bits you find from those shorts and like how they all like go together. But like people like really have strong opinions about like certain Alien movies, but I kind of feel like they all have something really fun to offer while also being Alien movies. Every single one delivers on that Alien formula of like you're interacting with a thing you shouldn't be interacting with, and now it killed you. Like every single one does that while also changing the franchise in a little way, and I love it. I love them all. They're great.
Except for Alien vs. Predator.
I don't count those ones. I didn't rewatch AVP or AVP 2.
Dude, I don't think I've ever seen AVP 2.
I haven't either. Yeah.
But honestly, I thought AVP 1 was freaking sweet. For like it is what it is.
Yeah, I remember hating it. I remember seeing it as like maybe a younger person. I thought, like, yeah, it's just like a creature feature, a monster movie, like whatever.
I grew up on Predator. I watched the Predator movies far younger than I ever should have, and I just loved that because I was one of those kids that just I loved the fantasy sci-fi bad guys. And that dude's a fucking baller bad guy.
Absolutely,
right
yeah. I mean, the whole movie kind of is bad guys, right? Because even the guys hunting them aren't super savory, you know? Like, yeah.
It's bad guys versus bad guys.
Which is awesome, yeah. Also, in Romulus, they had so many practical effects, like I mentioned. They used a scale model spaceship to do a lot of the exterior shots of it going through space. I saw the model of it. It's so fucking cool looking. And they, like, brought together the practical effects teams from like many different Alien movies into one giant mega team. And so like they have, you know, people in xenomorph costumes, like a new design. They had like robotic facehugger machines that look super real. Like they were throwing real facehugger props at their faces, so they're getting real reactions. The whole movie is filmed chronologically, which is not normal for a movie. So that like the actors have like a real good sense of like the story, and it kind of makes sense for a movie where people are like dying off one by one because like you film other scenes, then they leave because they're dead, and like you kind of keep doing it. But like the guy who made it really put a lot of effort in, and I really appreciate it. And it's a really solid movie. I recommend it.
I really like Prometheus, so I'm glad.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I'm glad to hear it because I like that. I'm like I'm gonna like this.
Oh yeah, that's
I'm
good.
gonna like this. The best part of Prometheus is when the giant donuts rolling. Oh no, the giant donut spaceship's gonna roll and fall on us!
Oh right, yeah. At the very end, they're doing the classic action movie thing of running in line with it. It's like, bro, left, right, just go one of those directions.
Oh man, this is just so good. All right, so we're gonna take a little bit of a sidestep here.
Yes.
But I think this is gonna kind of dig into Golden Demon and Vincy Kong.
Okay.
But do you want to talk about the Star Wars SRPG stuff first, because that's kind of separate from this stuff?
Yeah,
or do you
sure.
want me to talk about just a one piece of Golden Demon news, because Golden Demon's happening in Spiel as of like the day that we're recording this?
Yes. I'll be quick.
Okay.
We did our second session of our Star Wars RPG. We're still hot into it. It's fun. That's it. I don't really have anything to say about it. Like, it was a good RPG session. I'm still enjoying being a DM. We got our third one scheduled. We're doing one a month, which is like not very frequently, but it just works for the schedule, and it's working out. It's good.
Hey, I think this is true for so many things in whatever hobbies you're interested in. Routine is king.
Yeah.
And that routine does not mean to be you paint a model every single night. It could be I sit down and paint every other Friday, or I do an RPG session once a month, or I play one Warhammer game once a month. Like, as long as you feel like you have the next one scheduled, that's a victory. I consider that a victory. And so you're constantly kind of moving forward. Did you feel in your second session? Sorry, you try to keep this short.
That's okay.
Did you feel because I'm so interested and really enjoy hearing about your GM journey. Did you feel like you were a little bit more kind of understanding of the landscape because you had one under your belt and you're kind of getting some momentum off of that? Did you feel like you still kind of, you're going to always run into situations where you kind of feel not on level ground, but how did that go?
Yeah, I think there was things I learned and things that I did better on the second time around. I think one lesson I learned was that I think it's a great idea to have a list of items, like in case they open a chest or they get into a situation where there might be a room like an armory and they can find some cool things. Like, I think a list of items for like each character, like maybe like a low level, a mid level, and a high level reward for each character that they would care about. It'd be good to maintain that. So it's like, okay, you broke into like the security like depot in this room, and inside of it there are weapons. There's a thermal detonator. Like, there are these things, and you found them. It's like, cause it's cool to feel progression and to like earn stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And so I wanted. They did that exact thing. They broke into like a security room. And Dan was like, "Are there any other weapons in here?" And I'm like, "Fuck! Like, I don't know. I don't know any like guns that people would care about or that might be broken or some shit." So that was one thing I learned. I got some great advice from a really popular role playing YouTuber who was like, "You should have a list of NPC names." And like, that's a great idea too. So it's like, okay, we're at a store. What's like the store owner's name? Bang, I have it. Like, there's a great immersion there, and so for the same reason, I think a list of items would be good.
At any time, I'm a man of tabs when it comes to browsers.
Yeah, what you got
on my phone? At any given time, I have 4 to 8 tabs that are constantly open that are random generators.
Okay.
And so you can find name generators, item generators, room generators, trap generators.
Okay.
Interesting situations. Things like that. So there's a ton of that stuff out there. Now, the stuff that I use would be fantasy based, but there's going to be sci-fi stuff out there. So don't put all the pressure on yourself for the amount of time it would take for you to create those things when those things already exist out there. So that's the number one. Because then you'll just get overwhelmed and it will make it a job more than it already is to run the game session.
Right. Yeah. It can get a little overbearing. I can see how I would probably take it too far and do too much work for it. And like I have a hard time with this baked mission we're doing, because like I feel the need to like railroad them sometimes, because like in the end of this one session they're basically supposed to do some detective work, kind of. There are like 5 items in bins, and they have to do knowledge checks on them to figure out information, and then like the information becomes consistent and focused on one planet, and that's the planet they're supposed to go to. And so it's like, the problem is that they're all murder hobos, and none of them have good knowledge skills. And so when they all tried to analyze the items, every single one of them kept failing repeatedly. And so it's like what happens when you fail your knowledge check on an item? It's like I don't tell you anything about the item. Like, I didn't know how to solve that problem. It's like when things fail, when you accumulate threat, which is like a different kind of failure, like bad things are supposed to happen. It's like, when if they can't figure anything out about any of these items, they can't get to the planet because they don't see a consistent clue. And it's like they like figured out one item, And it's just like, okay, like, what do we do now? And it's like, I don't know. Like, so I had a hard time figuring that out.
Okay. Yeah, that is a very common thing. That's kind of the core of I could say like your main job as a GM. What I try to do is you pull out to a 30,000 foot view and you just ask your question, what are they trying to accomplish here? So what they're trying to accomplish is to figure out what that planet is so they can go there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the game has things in there that are baked in that will allow them to do that. It's boring if they just go through all that natural way and things go without a hitch. If that happens and they have fun, great.
Yeah.
But you have to think of like, what are other ways that the world would present that to them? Where it's like they're getting threat, they're getting attacked. A group of guards comes in and they're like, oh no, are they going after the location, whatever, blah blah blah. They say something or they hear something over a walkie-talkie or whatever. Like, it's not giving them the answer, but it's giving them a direction. And maybe then the murder hobos keep one guy alive and they question him, and then they have to do more checks and intimidate checks that maybe they're a little bit better at. Even if they fail their knowledge checks, it like gives them just a hint of information, not the answer, but they know like, oh shit, we're supposed to try to figure this stuff out. What are some other ways we could figure that out? And you don't have to figure all the stuff. Whatever they come up with, they're like, oh yeah, I think we should then go do this. Let them think creatively and come up with a plan of action, and allow that plan of action, whatever they choose, have the potential for success. And so they feel like, oh man, we screwed this up, or we're going to go about it this way. And they get there, they get the information they need, they get this feeling of satisfaction that they came up with an idea and it got them where they wanted to go. So it is this like, you have to play it by ear and just react more than push.
Yeah.
And that is a learning thing that
it's so clear, like, you're so much better at this than I am. Like, that's just a kind of level of wisdom that, like, of course, like, you could make the failure into a different pathway for the solution you're after.
Yes.
And it's like, I'm curious, there's another kind of problem I had that's a little bit more generic. And it's like, in this session, more than the first one, they were failing a lot of their roles. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I want them to progress and feel like they're progressing. But it's like, when none of their checks are going well, it's like, I don't know how to make them feel good about playing the game, you know? Right. It's like, because they're just failing constantly. And it wasn't constant, you know, but it was like 75% of the time. And it was like really disruptive. And so it's like, what do you do when like they just happen to be failing a lot of dice rolls?
Well, first of all, it is, especially if it's more of a condensed area, and it sounds like the knowledge area is one.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
That should be an opportunity for the group, and this is what you hope, that they come to a conclusion that, like, for character growth, for group growth, of like, we see a weakness in our group where we don't, in order for us to continue to be successful or to have more success or for us to live longer because we're not failing at these things we're attempting, we need to invest in that. And so as characters level, one of them or two of them should invest in those areas of weakness. Mm-hmm. So in from that angle, you don't need to pressure yourself. And in fact, maybe even like as the session's wrapping up, if I feel those moments and they haven't really brought it up, you're now outside the game. You're like, man, sure would be nice if one of you guys, when you leveled up, would take some points in knowledge, right? You kind of plant that little seed. That they need to be well-rounded. And that will also, what that gives is you give someone that's more of an expert, their character's more of an expert in an area, feel that satisfaction of them shining in those situations. Right. If you have nobody, you got to do more work to get creative to find other ways.
Yeah.
The other thing, for in the moment of they're failing a lot, what the hell do I do? I always go back to success or fail, no matter what the outcome is of a given check or a given situation. My job is to react to whatever their outcome was and keep a path, at least one path, of direction open. So every action will have a reaction. Sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's neutral, sometimes it's negative. Sometimes it splits paths and they get to make another fun choice of which way to go. So if they're failing, maybe it sets off an alarm, or maybe you give them just a hint of like, you knew the answer was in there. but you're not confident enough or have enough knowledge in how to extract that information. So you're like, but you think, oh, then you get them talking about like, okay, that's the kind of thing that it was going to give us. Where else in our environment, through NPCs, through other rooms, through going back to a town and trying to find more information from locals or whatever the case may be, for us to find that information. And then if they do that, maybe they get a different reward, or it pushes them a little bit further than your original one. And that kind of can get back to your fun other ways to reward players. Rewarding players through items is great. And I remember back to when I was a teenager, first started D&D, what I would do, when you were talking about magic items, I would sit in my room and I would draw. I'd draw weapons. I'd do them on note cards, on the back of a white side of a note card, and I'd name the weapon and I'd draw it out. And I'd use a quill pen like a fucking show. I used a quill pen and to draw like these sweet ass daggers and stuff, and then it would give the full description, and they were all unique things. One thing I really like to do is give people, you're worried about balance, give them things that would really just feels like their character, like,
right?
You know, but they're not like an in combat thing that attacks or does damage or prevents damage.
Okay.
They're like a thing that it's like
non-combative thing.
Yes.
Okay.
But they could even still use it if they came up with a creative use for this thing. It's like,
yeah, that's the thing. Is like I feel like there needs to be a gentle way to remind players that's like, you don't have to hit this thing with a stick. It's like there are other ways to interact with the world around you.
Right.
And it's like and this is kind of what got me into RPGs most recently. Is it's kind of this eureka moment where it's like, oh, obviously I'm supposed to be literally thinking about what it's like to be this person in this universe and make real human or whatever alien choices. Like that is the point of role playing. Because like that may sound so dumb and obvious to you or someone who's played RPGs for a long time.
All right, we're here with the real audio after done talking about RPGs for a while.
RPGs and movies. All right, anyways.
Let's talk about Golden Demon.
Let's talk about Golden Demon.
So Spiel is happening the weekend that we're recording this. That is a giant gaming convention in Germany, the motherland. And it is the first time that Golden Demon is back to Europe since I think like 2018 or 2017. It's been quite a while, maybe even longer.
What? No, it was just in Copenhagen like 2 years ago.
No, because the Cult of Paint guys said that, well, no, it was last in Germany.
Oh, last in Germany, sure.
Yeah, because
So
I think the
they're
last
actually-
time it was in Germany was when Roman won the Slayer Sword for
Okay.
Last Light.
Wow, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, but yeah, so maybe in Europe it's been more recently, but it still has been a while. It's been at least 5 years, I think. It's pre-COVID, for sure. I don't know how time works.
It's got to be longer than that, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, it's back. It's at a big convention that's not at fucking Warhammer World, so I consider that a success.
Yeah, it's that. So when actually you put that on the podcast list, I was like, oh, interesting. Like Games Day or whatever, Warhammer Day, whatever the fuck they call it now, is happening at the same time that Essen is happening. But no, Golden Demon is at Essen.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. It's in Essen at the show called Spiel, which is like a huge gaming convention that happens every year in Germany. In fact, the award, the Spiel des Jahres, Game of the Year, comes from that convention.
Hot diggity damn.
Yeah.
So that sounds like a massive one. I'm a little bit jealous. That sounds like a amazing weekend, and of course all the heavy hitters from the UK and Europe are going to be there. Presenting their Golden Demon artworks.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a lot of stuff that's fully finished paintings yet. I did see a clip a picture that someone had posted of Infernal Brush's piece that's in the case.
Oh.
Now that boy can paint.
Have you seen your boy Ben Comet's piece?
Not the full piece. There's one Krieg leader that has been posted that he posted.
I saw 3. I
Oh.
saw an ogre, the leader, and then a third dude on a little square plinth this morning.
Oh no, I've not seen those
Okay,
yet.
okay.
Not checked this
I should
morning.
have picked that one as my favorite model. Now I feel stupid. But yeah.
I'm so excited. I did see Lil Andy's. He sent me
Nice.
this. It's going to be a bit of you, dude. You are going to love it.
Is it Dark Eldar?
Nope, it's fantasy.
What up?
Yep. And it's a little diorama. It's very tight. It's a very compact, but it's a lot of storytelling. By this point, that will probably be available for people to see. But it's got that Andy special sauce. You can tell it's painted by him, and that's a good thing.
I love it. Yeah, Andy's fellow elf enjoyer. Yeah, I love that. Can't wait to see it.
So what I wanted to do real quick is just a shot in the dark, and you were not prepared for this whatsoever, of who do we think is going to be, what did you just do?
I'm just ready.
Okay, you ready for the
I'm ready, yeah.
You ready?
Give me this question.
Prediction time, who's going to win the Slayer Sword? We haven't seen all the full pieces. We don't know.
I've seen one or two.
Yeah. But you're just going off names at this.
Yeah. It could be a person who I've never even heard of,
Right. There's one that I think is going to be if this was a betting thing in Vegas, who's going to be the odds-on favorite?
Okay. The thing is like I don't know if like Christopher Clayton's got something in the tank, The
I don't know.
The kind of guy who like, I know it's gonna be. It's gonna be Alberto.
Yes.
Yeah, Moreto Font. Yeah. Yes. I'm guessing him.
That was going to be my guess too.
Yeah. He's got something. I know he's going.
Oh yeah, he's going. He just showed the front of the plinth that has an orc symbol on it.
Yeah.
So
that's so old school, bro. It's like, what is someone gonna do at this point? But I love how he saves the first viewing for anyone at the show.
I know.
It's like really special.
And I do the exact opposite. You get to see all the stupid sausage as it's made, and as I do my project through videos, and nobody is surprised.
Would you do that if you weren't a YouTuber? What would you do?
I would do exactly what they do. I wouldn't show it until it's there, and there's all this hype, and there's like, who's that? Oh my gosh, blah blah blah. That's what your goal is, right?
Yeah,
that you get that awe moment. But I don't know I don't think that affects judging at all.
Yeah.
I think that's just well, if it does affect judging, I don't think it's a major factor. So yeah, I'm excited. I think it's gonna kind of transitioning into, I've started work on my Golden Demon piece, sub-assemblies of the full giant rat prophet. So he's all built in sub-assemblies, and then this week I spent an entire week building his scenic base, which was an undertaking I was not prepared for at all. Yeah. And it reminded me that, especially as I start working on, or I'm going to start working on like a competition piece, that this weekend will just crush me, because I see just the final product of thousands and thousands of hours across, a dozen or 2 dozen of the 400 or 500 pieces that are going to be there that are just mind blowing. And it just completely like, I could never do that. I don't stand a chance. Why am I even trying? Why am I even starting? I'm going to screw it up before I even begin, and all this kind of stuff. That is where my brain goes when I see these works by these just amazing artisans, and I'm just like,
But you've already won. What more do you have to prove?
I haven't got a gold, baby.
Okay.
More importantly,
okay,
I haven't lifted that sword.
Okay.
If I ever lift the sword, I probably I'll never compete again. I'll just be like, but I don't. Will that day ever come? Probably not. But there's always something, and I would even say that myself. Now, there was a point after Golden Demon last year, and even as recent as like a week or two ago, where I'm like, I won one. I don't need to put myself through that again.
Dude, the fact that you phrase it like that is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Like, put myself through that again.
But I just remind myself, the things that are most fulfilling in life are the things that you give a bit of your soul to accomplish. And that is 100% true for this.
Yes. But I think I think this is still valid for you to think that way, but I think everyone has like a couple of things they can choose to do that with in life,
Yep.
Because like I hear that statement, and the way my brain interprets it is that, I can do that for everything,
Yeah.
I can be a fucking god in everything I do, and like that is like what always like the brain wants me to do. It's like, okay, you can do all this research, you can figure out all this stuff, you can approach this in the perfect way. Like that's just like I'm like seduced by that idea. And yeah, you can't do it for everything in life. Some things, yes.
Yeah, you have to pick and choose. You only have so many hours on this planet. You know, you have to prioritize what do you want to accomplish, what do you want to be known for, what do you want to leave behind in any form of legacy, and there's a lot of really important things in life that aren't painting tiny miniatures. So
but that can also be an important thing. You can choose to give a little bit of your soul for like that process. You absolutely can.
Yes. So we're gonna see. I'm excited for Golden Demon. I'm excited to this weekend. I think tomorrow there's going to be the reveals and stuff. I'm not necessarily excited about what those reveals are going to be for Warhammer stuff, but it's officially it is the season. So before we know it, the other part of the kind of selfish part of me is like, the Spiel is close enough to Adepticon that these amazing European and UK painters can't possibly replicate that again in a short period of time.
I mean, you know Andy's going to. Doesn't he show up every year?
Andy'll be there, and the piece that he's working on for Adepticon is I don't know any details, but it's going to be a heavier hitter than the one he's bringing here. At least that's what my gut is telling me. Okay. So he knows that his chances of winning a sword are much higher in America than they are just by the numbers, just by the numbers. So we shall see. But that leads me to a little bit of what we got going on this week. We have a giant convention of our own we're attending next week.
We do. We're going to good old VincyCon, and I'm preparing for VincyCon. Have you done any VincyCon prep work?
Yeah, I mean, I know what I'm bringing to paint. I'm on track for what that's going to be. I'm going to paint the head of my giant rat prophet, my Golden Demon project. Okay. There. All I'm bringing is a head.
Okay.
But the head
for a
monster.
A weekend of painting.
Yes.
For 4 days?
The head is with the horns, the head is attached to the horns. It's about the size of my palm, though. It's huge.
No. Oh, with the horns?
Okay, yeah, his head is about the size of the last digit of my pinky, but then the horns are all gnarled and tied together and wrap around, and he's got little rats. He's got some Bojangles with bells on them.
He's got rat Bojangles.
There's plenty to do there. Also,
are you bringing it back up, or are you confident you won't finish that head, or you'll finish it perfectly?
I don't know if I'll even finish it perfectly in that amount of time, but I'm gonna. That is my goal, because if that part of the model falls short, the whole piece falls short.
Yeah.
So there's no stress for me running out of shit to do with that at all. So that's not my concern. If I feel like, man, this is amazing and I'm feeling super confident, that just means I'm going to play more of Vincey's unnamed game for Snarling Badger Studio. I'm going to do some more play testing of the new game. I'm going to play some more Magic with fucking Ben Cantor. I'm gonna have plenty of shit to do, but first and foremost, I'm gonna paint me a rat head. What are you bringing for a project?
I have this foolish agreement with Eons of Battle to paint a Dark Eldar army this year, and just like 2 years ago, I had a similar goal to finish an Age of Sigmar army. Yeah. And so I painted a unit of 10 Skellies there. I finished my Zombie Dragon, and I started painting a unit of Blood Knights while I was at VincyCon. And so this year, I'm going to bring the remaining 5 Incubi that I haven't painted for my 10-man squad that are already assembled, and I just prepped them for like actual paintbrush work. Did a bunch of airbrush work on stream.
That was going to be my question. Do you try to get 80 to 100% of the airbrush work done, so you're just out there on the table banging out brushwork?
Exactly.
Good.
I don't want to be alone in Vince's painting room, like away from the boys. You know
what happens when you do that? You come out with a bright, giant pink robot,
and you miss all the fucking hot tea, dude. You know.
Dude.
I don't want to be away. So yeah, I wanted to do the airbrushing work beforehand. So I got 5 of those guys, and then I would love to bring some Reaver jet bikes to paint. I fucking love Reaver jet bikes.
They are the fucking coolest thing ever.
Yeah, they are. And there was this dude who used to play Dark Eldar a long time ago that I would read his bat reps on a forum when I was in college, and he was like, you know what? I don't care what the meta is. I'm gonna rock up with 12 Reaver jet bikes. I'm just gonna make it work. And he fucking made it work. And I've really appreciated that. And also I just love Reaver jet bikes. So I want to put 12 in my list. 2 big 6-man squads. I don't know what they can do in the game. I hope it's good. I hope it's good enough. But yeah, I think that should be enough. 6 Reaver jet bikes and 5 NQB to paint start to finish. Like they're not really started at all. Just a little bit of airbrushing. So that's the plan.
When I first got into the hobby and went to learn 40K, a friend offered to run me through a game, and he had a Dark Eldar army as one of his armies. I was like, fuck yeah, bud. And I was like, I just want some of them bikes. And so he gave me 2, the list that he built for me was 2 squads of those. They are so fucking fun.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, they are space jet skis, dude. All they do,
that's exactly it.
You can just you just scream around the board and harass, and they're so good at screaming around and harass and just being annoying. And if you don't deal with them, they will fuck with your synergy pieces.
Yeah,
that is their job, and they are so good at it, and it's so much fun. So get them, play them. I'm sure that the idea of how they work has not changed by different editions.
Right, because they used to have this amazing blade vein mechanic where it's if they passed within a certain amount of inches or over a unit, their blade veins would do damage to them, which is just so fucking cool. I love that idea so much. I don't know if they still do that, but that would be cool. When they had cluster caltrops, they would drop bombs on you as they drove by.
Yeah,
a really cool unit. They could move 24 inches in a turn. It's just insane unit.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun. Okay, yeah, you should bring those, and that's gonna be. It would even be nice to bring just one of those. If you needed a break from just painting dudes, it's a totally different kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's like a mini vehicle.
Yeah, it's all sharp angles, but you can feel more sense of satisfaction quicker because it's small. It's kind of like a micro machine, which is a good size vehicle. Mm-hmm. So that's cool. Okay, so painting is going to be happening. Mm-hmm. What other prep were you discussing? Because now I'm a little bit nervous. I did do a prep. I got my fucking TSA pre-check done, dog.
Oh, nice. Now we can get to the airport just an hour before. Well, we're taking different planes to get there, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, it's so nice just to skip the TSA. It's so nice.
I had that moment when we were driving up here because we talked about doing some a strategy session where we talk through a bunch of stuff on the podcast, come up with some podcast topics, think about maybe our goals for 2025 for the podcast, all this kind of boring administrative stuff. I'm like, oh shit, we could do that while we're waiting for the plane. And I was like, oh fuck, we're not riding on the same plane.
Yeah,
but that would have been a great time for us to do things. I was multitasking things that you have to do that take your time. There's what can you knock out during that? It's you always see those people at the airport or then lobbies of places or at the Starbucks and shit, and they're on their phone and they're doing businessy calls and stuff. I'm like,
they got an earpiece in, dude. Yeah, absolutely.
You got that early 2000s earpiece.
Got your fucking blueberry or whatever it's fucking called, whatever fruit it is, dude. Raspberry Pi. I don't know.
None of those things.
Yeah, I know Raspberry Pi is a
Blackberry.
Yeah, it's a Blackberry. Yeah,
a Bluetooth Blackberry. Does that make it a blueberry?
Yes. Well, we could we have lunch most days we do the podcast. We just got to not invite Dan because Dan's just a chatty Cathy. He absorbs the conversation.
Yeah. He is a raccoon for topics about nerd things.
Oh yeah, he loves it.
He just gets obsessed with different shinies, and off he goes, and we're just along for the ride.
Yeah, we're just he eats one tendy the entire
He doesn't eat lunch.
Yeah.
He orders lunch. Yeah. He sits down and he talks.
Yeah, and then he feeds his lunch to his coworkers.
Yes. Which is why he weighs 120 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah, soaking wet.
Okay, so we got the painting stuff. We got the flights figured out.
What is this, a checklist?
Yeah.
Deodorant?
Oh shit, I didn't pack deodorant yet. I gotta bring my medicine. That's pretty much it. Gotta pre-download some movies on your phone because of the length of the flight. I'm not sure we're gonna get the good Delta planes so they got the TVs on them.
Yeah.
It's an important thing.
Yeah, but also I don't care about those announcements, pausing my movie and shit.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, the plane's crashing, dude. I gotta finish this movie, bro.
Right. Yeah, I get the general idea the thing's gonna fall from the ceiling, and underneath my seat there's a fucking thing that's not gonna save my ass anyway.
It's one of those things where it's I have ignored the safety video on so many airplanes to the point where I feel like I know it now. But in an actual catastrophe,
ain't gonna help you anyway.
I'd be fucked. Like I think I'm supposed to put my mask on first and then other people's mask. But beyond that, like I'm probably dying.
Yeah. I'm cool with that. It's the way it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Yeah. So there's that other thing you can do. That's something that I like to do, like because you're kind of forced to sit. You can, you don't have to spend time on your phone. If there was stuff that you wanted to bring for like a little notebook or even like your Star Wars book for prep for like your third session of your Star Wars campaign.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I did that on a different airplane. I brought like the campaign book and I wrote out like all of the decision trees that the game already had written for me. Like if they fail here are the options. If they succeed here are the options. So I just kind of wrote it all down in like a bullet point so I could like see it all on a page really quickly.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And I always feel like that's a great time for me to do that. Like when we went this summer to our trip to Florida, I brought my campaign book and then a notebook, and I got so much prep work done on flights.
That's a great idea.
And it feels really satisfying because you feel like you're maximizing things that otherwise you'd be sitting at home and spending a couple hours when you could be doing other things. Here, you're tied in. You can even do that kind of stuff for like prepping your hobby projects and stuff too. It's just like, okay, what's my priority of things I want to paint over the next couple weeks or month, or what things do I need to build to make my army? What kinds of color schemes? And like, there's a lot of things you can do, not attached to the internet, just using your own brain and the notes function on your phone to really kind of set yourself up for success and feeling that you don't have to hem and haw in your hobbying. When you just sit down, pull it open. Okay, that was the next thing I decided I was going to do, and just get to work.
Yep, I did that with YouTube. I came up with YouTube video ideas, and then I also scheduled like the videos that I wanted to make in a certain month.
Oh yeah, that's well. Look at you being a professional.
A professional.
As I had a professional meeting this week with Jay and Nick from Eons of Battle.
Nice.
We got on the phone. A video chat, and I haven't had a video chat with those guys before. I talked to them many times at conventions and stuff, but it was just really nice because you and I do it where we talk shop and stuff, but it's like more different people because there's not a lot of us that you can just be like, you guys do this, or this is my thought, or they had questions and I had questions. It's really, really nice to talk shop for work in this situation, but even talking about hobby stuff. We talked about hobby stuff, and I was reminded how like Nick and I had a lot of things from like the adulting side of things that we were just
100%. I completely agree with what you're about to say.
That we were just like simpatico, and I was like, I didn't really know that side. I hadn't talked about that kind of stuff with Nick before. I'm like, okay, you're my kind of dog there, Nick. And then I said something about a game, and Jay just came to life.
Yeah. Oh my God, 100%. Because I was in a meeting with them that exact same day, a couple hours earlier, and that is 100% how it worked out. Talk about YouTube shit, and then Nick's like, now he's the one chatting, and talk about Warhammer, now it's Jay chatting. Yeah,
it's great. I mean, I'm so, and I think I told him, it's like, I'm jealous.
I'm so jealous, bro.
You guys can just like offload a section of your brain to a partner that you trust. How great is that?
I know. It's so amazing. I love that. And like they're also like they're fucking omega adults when it comes to YouTube. Like I don't know how like into the weeds they got with you about their process, but like
we talk process because I was curious about the process.
Yeah, like they have, I don't think this is like anything important to say, but they have every video for the rest of the year planned out at this point, and it's just like, dude, it's October. Wait, is it?
Yeah, it's October.
September.
It's October.
It's October. I don't even fucking know what month it is, bro.
They got Q4 on rock.
Yeah, it's just like, holy shit, dude. I thought I was cool for having all my videos figured out in October, like just for a month. And it's like, no, we have the entire year figured out. And it's like, Jesus Christ, man. How do you compete with this? You don't. That's the answer.
My ear is plugged. I can't hear out of my left ear.
Oh, that's a problem. John's dying right now.
It's fine. It's just mono, not stereo. Oh, there we go.
Mono nut?
Mono nut. Okay, I can hear again.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, we're going to be
Are we trying to extend this Preamble Ramble forever? Are we trying?
Maybe not. Maybe we should stop.
Yeah, you're like, other than that, other things I could talk about are...
We're going to play some Magic because this is probably the biggest group we've ever had.
Yeah. Is Adam going to be there?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's going to be
It's
big.
me, you, Vincey V, Sam, Adam, and for the first time ever attending VinceyCon is Ben Cantor.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's not enough tea to be spilled when Sam's in the room, we add Ben with his, like, he's a cryptid, that motherfucker. Like, he's so far out there. Like, this is just gonna be the most batshit crazy conspiracy theory in the best kind of way.
Yeah.
VinceyCon
of
all time.
Yeah, my impression of Ben is that he lurks on the outskirts, right? And so he has like a lot of really, not really, but he has like some kind of hot takes and like interesting like takes on like just like the industry of miniature painting in general.
Yeah.
That are kind of unique. And so yeah, I'm interested to see what he has to say.
He does a lot of thinking.
Yeah.
And strategize.
Yeah.
Whatever. And he doesn't shoot it out to the world.
No, he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't like see if the ideas like resonate with other people ever.
He's always absorbing.
Yeah.
And then you get him in the moment and get him talking, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I've unleashed a monster.
Yes.
I could open the Necronomicon and it's Ben's face inside.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So I'm just excited for the ride, man. It's gonna be a ride.
It's gonna be a ride.
And that's all Preamble Ramble. I want to talk about not a sentence more.
All right, now we're into what we painted, right?
Yeah. What did you paint?
I painted this Lord of the Rings model. Easter Man. He's got a big stone face. No, it's what are those big rocks called that look like heads?
Easter Island.
Easter Island. Yeah, I got an Easterling, one of the named characters. He looked awesome on the website. I even filmed a little comparative size shot because I was shocked at how small he was. It's not like he's super small, but like compared to A Song of Ice and Fire, compared to a fucking Primaria Space Marine, compared to, I did a third thing. Oh, Star Wars Legion model. This guy was proportionally the smallest out of all of them. And so it was just like, it's kind of interesting because in the picture, he looks kind of big. He looks kind of like almost like 40K modernized miniature size, kind of. But yes, I painted him. Started yesterday doing some rose gold NMM that I want to talk about in the extended portion of the podcast because there are so many kinds of gold, like there's green gold, there's rose gold, there's like white gold, there's like palladium coated gold, and there's of course normal gold. But there's so many different types of shades, and I wanted to try out something, and I felt like rose gold made sense for this character because they have like maroon colored robes and gold, so I kind of just put them together, the two colors. And
it's very smooth, a lot of really nice blends.
Thank you. At this point, I haven't done like the final bright highlights yet, incorporating them, but I've done like I would say like 80% of the range, and now I need to do a tiny punch at the bottom and the top, and then normally just the tiniest bit of highlight, tiniest bit of shadow really punches that contrast up really easily, and so I kind of keep it for the end, like a little bit of feathering of really bright colors and a little bit of edge highlights and stuff like that.
To me, it's all going to come down to this frisbee on his head.
Yeah.
Like that highlight that you have there, I think the majority of that highlight needs to all be the brightest color.
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially higher up. Like I think also maybe on his chest a little bit should be like a bit of a bigger highlight. Maybe on some of those like scales on his shoulders and stuff like that. And then like the lower it gets on him, I'll make those highlights smaller and smaller, but they'll still be there.
Yep.
Just tiny.
Yeah. But there's a lot of little fiddly shapes on some of this stuff. Just, it looks like pure misery.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not super fun, but I kind of figure, I can paint a single fig like that in a day, like no problem. And I figure, okay, well, it's a single fig. I want to put a little bit more effort into it. I've been doing a lot of Team M lately. Time to do NMM again a little bit and try a different thing this time. Try a different kind of hue. Because I kind of feel like I don't need to keep doing NMM in the way that I know how to do it with the colors that I know how to do it. I should be like experimenting with new ideas every single time, just because, that's a thing that I want to get better at. And because there are people out in the world right now that are really good at doing NMM and they're doing all these new things that I've never tried before, and I want to try them out.
Yes. Yeah. He's so clean. He's going to be.
Thank you.
I know he's going to turn out just fine.
Thank you.
I painted This is from Corvus Belly's War Crow, their fantasy line. It's from a new expansion. And he's supposed to be a blue guy. Like the race is blue.
Okay.
But I was like, I want to paint punchy green orc skin. So I just painted him like an orc. And he's a kind of barbarian looking guy. So I'm like, whatever.
It's a big model.
He is a big model. He's a fun model to paint. And the whole premise of the video and like my thought process going into the project is how do I paint in a way that is relaxing? It is a de-stressor. It's a way that doesn't like cause me stress. It helps me kind of like check out from all the stresses of life. And how does that process look like for me? And a part of that is feeling like I can accomplish something in 2 hours or less. So this is about an hour and a half paint job. And it's kind of how I've developed, I'd say it's kind of how I developed speed painting, but it's not a speed paint. It's not about getting it done as fast as possible. It's about finding those moments that you enjoy and just kind of settling into them and then knocking out through the rest of the stuff quickly to get something that you're happy that you completed. And just a non-stress painting evening was kind of my goal with that. And so still having more fun with colors. And there's no black on the model. It wasn't primed in black. He's primed in like this kind of a mid-tone rust color and then shot from below with a purple and a blue and then a yellow zenithal from an angle to kind of hit that kind of golden angle where you can see the side of his face and the chest and arm. And then just kind of having fun with colors. It was all painted in the new Army Painter Fanatics
Having
line.
fun with colors, bro?
Yeah.
You sound like a fucking European.
Yeah.
Get out of here with that shit.
Yeah, we don't worry about the brush stroke.
Yes.
I don't know. Why am I the insult?
The volumes.
It sounded like the comic insult dog from Conan O'Brien. Oh, what the dare you do there? Is it good enough for me to poop on?
Yeah, just like the most extreme version of an accent. Yeah. We love you, Europe.
We don't care about the brush stroke. We don't care about detail. Now I'm strong bad.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's fucking strong, man, dude. Oh my god.
But yeah, when it was just kind of like, okay, following the light and not painting with white and not painting with black. And, it was about an hour and a half, 40 minutes, I think, but not counting the airbrush steps at the beginning, but that was just a prime and then 2 squirts.
So I'm uncomfortable with that.
But yeah, I was just like following the light and then just not being afraid to push that. And so I had like the scale mail skirt there that I did that. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of little details and stuff there that are not done, with the most level of precision. But like if I got the light right, it makes it feel more dynamic and I enjoy that part of it. So
yeah, I totally get what you're saying about like, just sitting down and painting a model in like whatever way is comfortable to you. It's like you don't have to think about it. It's just like whatever is like second nature. And I feel that way like whenever I paint a Song of Ice and Fire models, because they're just so simple and like they're so easy to execute on. Like this guy's, he's got a bit going on. And he's kind of large as well. Mm-hmm. But those models you can finish in an hour and a half. Like probably obviously even easier than this. And it's just it feels good to accomplish something that quickly. So I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think the fact that he's got a fair bit going on kind of helped me lean into like, what do I do for that? Because that's not fun. That's not de-stressing. That's just kind of feel like it's a overwhelming amount of details. And it's like, you just contrast paint a couple of those details. Who gives a shit? Just slap stuff on there. Maybe throw one little line or two of highlights over that and don't care. If it's not interesting and exciting for you to mess around with, then just don't paint that part. Don't paint it very much or whatever. And then about these are all these models by Warcrow or by Corvus Belly for Warcrow. They're all CIOcast. Mm-hmm. So they're a plastic. They're of this kind of, there's a lot that I think they have in their formula of CIOcast correct. It does have a bit of just a bit of a bend to it, so you're not going to snap the model. So that can go back and forth, and it goes back into place. It doesn't stay bent. But they're hard enough to where I could scrape them with the side of my blade and scrape stuff off. and I could use sandpaper on it, and sand would work. It didn't gum it up too much. You could tell it wasn't as clean as working with GW plastic. However, it's still going to have the issue that any COcast model is going to have, where if the mold line lines up in a poor spot, they are harder to clean than a GW plastic model or a hard plastic model. And so, like, the one side of his face, the side that's in shadow, there's a bit of a funkadelic going on down there, and so it makes it like you just kind of close your eyes and hope for the best, you know?
Yeah. I felt like they didn't clean well either. Like, whenever I have a sponsorship, I always test the product out, and I always give the company feedback. And I was like, you guys need to figure out your COcast recipe, because this is not good for a consumer to clean. And so they took that feedback on board, and they said they were going to work on it, which is nice. But like any talking point in my script that was about model quality, I just like removed, because I didn't feel comfortable like saying these are like high quality miniatures. Like, the detail is very crispy, because COcast is like so good at detail retention and capturing that.
Yes.
But like, man, for a modeling experience, like it wasn't up to the standard, I don't think, of like what a cleaning a model should feel like, I think, in 2024.
Yeah. It was a lot quicker to clean than the average GW model. I'll say that.
So?
Cleaning, because there's a lot less you need to clean, because most 90 to 95% of each individual piece, because this guy was like 4 pieces, is like completely, you don't have to touch it. The parts that it has that need to be cleaned, they fell into 1 or 2 buckets. One, it was an easy side, like a single line side of the knife, it could clean it great. But if it was in a detailed area, it's miserable, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unlike a GW sculpt, where it's like, no, you can still get in there with a tight bit of sandpaper or whatever, and you can clean any of those things up. This, in those areas, is kind of rough, but put it together and painted like the quality of the model as a whole, I think is better than a lot of stuff that's out there.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
And the price range, though, too, they're not cheap.
Oh, I didn't look at the prices at all.
So, like, the starter box for this, that comes with both war bands, so it's coming with, I think, probably around 18-ish models. The book and everything is like $100.
Hardcover rule book and a set of cardboard terrain as well.
Yes.
And like a paper battle mat that I'm not going to count it as anything.
Yeah.
$100?
$100. And then the dice. It comes with some dice, too. But, yeah. So they're more reasonable than like Games Workshop. But anyway.
Yeah, it's somewhere in the middle, it seems like.
But
this, I forgot to mention, this was a fine cast model. This was resin.
I would not have guessed that.
I know. I was like, oh my God, has GW joined the world of every indie model maker now in understanding how to fucking use resin? Because like this was the best fine cast model I've ever purchased in my life. There wasn't a ton of gates everywhere. The cast was so crispy and it was so sharp. And like there were some mold lines that were kind of like a little jank to clean up, but like whatever, I don't care about that. It wasn't that hard. It's resin. It scrapes super easily.
Yeah.
I was so impressed. I'm so happy to see. I don't know if this is like an indication that Forge World has kind of figured their shit out a little bit, but at the very least, this model was very good. I was very happy with it.
That long spear would stress me the fuck out, though.
Oh God, yeah.
It's brittle as hell.
Yeah, it was also bent, but like that is like an impossible thing as far as I'm aware to solve when it comes to resin. A long thin piece, when it cures, will heat up, and when it heats up, it will bend because there's not enough material there to resist that bending force. Mm-hmm. It's a fact of the creative process.
Is this a relatively new model for their range? Or has this been around a lot?
I don't know.
Because a bunch of their new stuff is all in plastic in Lord of the Rings.
Yes, the newer Lord of the Rings models are definitely in plastic.
And those are super sexy.
Yeah, they're really nice.
Like Gandalf on horse, bro?
Bro. Or the new Faramir model.
Yeah.
I want to paint that new Faramir model.
Yeah, that's a really cool model.
He's probably bigger than this guy, don't you think?
No.
No?
Because I saw him, someone had painted him at Golden Demon.
He's about that big?
Last year. He was tiny.
God damn.
They're all fucking tiny, dude.
Come on, Lord of the Rings. Figure it out, dude. We like painting big models. And by big models, I mean large or tiny models.
Yes.
kind of
Still
funny.
the same scale, but you're just creeping them up a little bit.
A little bit. It's still funny. Like whenever like a normie looks at a miniature, they're like, "What the hell, dude?" It doesn't matter if it's like 10 millimeter taller. It's like all impressive.
So in the after party, Scott's going to talk about the rose gold a little bit more.
I'm going to share my deep, dark secrets.
I'm going to talk about the hell that was building my Golden Demon base, and what is the after party? How do you get there?
Ooh, you get there by being a patron. $5 buckaroonies gets you access to an episode that's about 30 minutes longer, 20 minutes longer, that has 3 extra, what do we call them, segments in the podcast. One where we are sharing models that we love from other hobbyists that we discovered in the last 2 weeks. We're talking about new things we tried out and experimented with, and we're also giving feedback to one of our patrons as well. And also as a patron, you can suggest topics for us to discuss in an episode, which we use pretty routinely.
Yeah.
So for $5, get you a lot of Scott and John value. Okay.
All right.
All right. I'll turn off my salesman greasy vibe now.
And this 85 Buick could be yours today. $1,700. All right, let's get into the main topic. Scott, what is the main topic for today?
Today, me and John are going to compare and contrast our slightly different processes for how to make a hobby YouTube video. And so as part of this discussion, we're going to say things that we value in good hobby YouTube videos and what we think is important and what we leave behind, largely, we're making videos in the same vertical. We have a similar process and outcome, but we also have different different ideas about what should be in a video and what videos channels should make about and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Also, this is very top of mind for me, which is why I suggested it. I'm in kind of I feel like I say this all the time. I'm in kind of a YouTube revitalization mood, and I've been watching and listening to a lot of content about the creator economy. And I'm just, I'm really excited about the things that I'm learning, and I'm excited to employ them and share them with other people. And I think
that phrase makes me want to go eat a Grecian meat pie.
I think also, ultimately my goal on YouTube, and I can't speak for John, but I assume it's similar. We're trying to educate people on how to paint miniatures, It is miniature painting education. And to a lesser degree, it's education in general. And so if we can teach even a couple people some of the better practices to making better YouTube videos, and it inspires someone to make YouTube videos, that's a net win, Maybe it's not a super interesting topic because it's not super hobby related, but any amount of education and more content we can inspire, the better.
Yeah. So a part of this that really appeals to me is it's a chance for us to hear back from y'all as well, because one really big benefit of this podcast is we have you wonderful goody peepees that aren't afraid to share your thoughts. So whether it's in the comment section below of this YouTube video, whether it's on our Patreon and posting there, or whether it's at the Trapped Under Plastic Facebook group, your thoughts on what really makes an appealing hobby YouTube video or a YouTube channel for you. Why do you watch the ones you watch? And without pooping on particular people or particular channels, what are some things that you find don't appeal to you as much? We're not going to necessarily use this for our own selfish means, but we might.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I will. I'll say that right now. I will.
Yeah. And the trick to this is it's all individual tastes, and your taste may vary. Some people may hate my channel and like somebody else's channel, and that is great. That is the ability to have choice and find what really appeals to you. So It is a personal kind of draw there, but
absolutely,
I think there are some universal truths.
Yeah, there could be. Yeah. And also, we don't want to just do the universal truths. We also want to hear why Ninjon likes to do this specific thing he likes to do, because that's cool and special and fun and interesting. So let's get into it.
All right, where are we starting?
It's hard,
Yes, it is.
I want to start with an interesting story. I'm not sure if I've shared it on the podcast yet. It's hard because I tell the story to some people. I don't know who I've told it to yet. But I had a dude over, and we made a YouTube video together. And that YouTube video, when I put it out, it's the video where I'm teaching a noob how to paint a Warhammer face. That video did poorly for a week and a half. And then after a week and a half, it popped off. And it's now my #1 performing video out of 10. And that has never happened to me in the life of my YouTube channel. And so it was really interesting. But there was a specific process that we followed to make that video, or sorry, that I followed to make that YouTube video based on what I thought were best practices. And I think that's a great spot to start as like what makes a great hobby video is like having a process. And I want to share that process and see how much of it resonates with you.
Okay.
So I think because people might be beginners in YouTube, I think it's a great place to start thinking about this. When you are making a YouTube video and you're a beginner and you don't have much of a following, every single video you make needs to be optimized for something called outreach, something called finding new audience people. And the question is how do you do that? And it's like, it can influence so many things. And so an important thing to sit down and think about is who am I making this video for? And so when I sat down and was thinking about that video, I was like, I'm making this video for the core audience of Miniac, for people who like Warhammer products, and for beginners. I have a very specific vision of who that person is. And now that I know who that person is, it influences every single choice that I make in that video. How I intro it, what model I paint, how I talk to that person, like how long the video is going to be, like what advice, what like materials and tools I'm going to use. Like everything can be inspired by that, and you can make a choice to better make that target audience feel welcomed in your video. So as someone who's never made a video before, like if you're just starting out a channel or you got like 500 or 1,000 subscribers, you're like, who am I trying to get to watch my videos? I'm going to make videos for that person. And so that's kind of like, I think in modern YouTube, that's a great place to start. Who am I making videos for? A very specific list of characteristics. Do you ever do this? This is a new thing for me.
On the specific occasions where I find that the topic or the idea is more likely to reach outside of my sphere, so it's more likely to reach a larger number of people that aren't my core audience, I do a bit more of that thinking.
Sure.
An example would be when I painted the giant Space Marine statue guy.
Yes.
That's more likely to hit people that aren't, core miniature painters already.
Yes.
Right? So that affects a lot of things.
And what's one way that affected how you made that video? Give me an example.
I think that I approach it in a way that you've never seen me before.
Yes.
So it's really important for me to create a nice snapshot of what is my channel like and who am I?
Exactly. Who are you? You're not assuming they know who you are.
Right.
Yes. That is exactly. That's one way. 100%.
And I don't mean that in a way that like I introduce myself and I start from like square one. I actually don't do that because I think that's a bit awkward. Mm-hmm. It's more of I need to be, the things that I say and the way that I say them need to be kind of give a really good input of like, what kind of channel is this?
Yeah. And like you don't need to do exposition. Like you don't need to be like, my name is Ninjon, I paint miniatures, and I have a comedic twist.
Yeah.
It's like you just are comedic.
Yeah.
And then they figure that out, right? Yeah. So it's like you don't need to explain it, but sometimes you can like make a video in a certain way to show people what videos are like on the channel. And you can position those elements earlier in the video, and so they get a taste for it earlier, or later on if it's more of like a thing that's special for your audience and you don't want to affect retention. So first of all, that's that I think for a modern video, I think is a really important thing to think about. It's like, who am I making this video for? Now, as someone who is new to YouTube, you may not know how to answer that question, and you're actually in this very advantageous position to choose who you're making that video for. So for me, my audience is ages 19 to 35, like male, into miniature painting, not as a means to an end, to actually learn how to paint models. And they like GW products largely. So that's my target audience, right? Not beginners necessarily or advanced painters. I tend to spread the gamut pretty evenly. And so now I'm going to make choices based on that person. Like in the video, I paint a GW head. In the video, I start the model from a black undercoat, because I imagine a lot of people would start from a black undercoat when painting GW models, because that's kind of like how I learned. And I imagine they kind of, they do the same thing on the Warhammer channel, unless they're doing a contrast paint mini. It's from a black undercoat. So it's like I'm trying to do all these things to make that person feel welcome in the video. I mentioned at the very beginning, we're going to be painting a GW head. It's a Necromunda head from a certain gang, Orlok gang. And so I'm dropping all these words so that it's like, okay, I feel like this is for me. I'm going to stick around. And like, so that's one thing. And then I also, before doing anything, came up with like 5 titles just to see like what felt the best. You know, I'm trying to figure out what's the least awkward, what's the most efficient way to say what I'm trying to convey in the title, and then how does that work with the thumbnail that I want to use? Like, how can they not say the exact same thing, but say things that like are kind of like copacetic, like, they work together really nicely. And so I came up with that video, like a draft of the thumbnail, like of the idea along with the title. And so now that I have all this like work done ahead of time, now when I go and sit down with this beginner, now everything that I do in this like kind of like live video is going to be colored by my knowledge of what I know the title and thumbnail is going to be, who my target audience is, and now I can just like go. And so that I think for a lot of people, it's important to start there. And I'm kind of curious, I don't start there often, you know? So have you ever like gone through that process before?
Yeah, that is when my channel was new, that was really important that was a routine.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's just like the old adage of you need to know the rules to know when to break them.
Yeah, sure.
So first you need to really get a strong grasp of your routine, whatever that works like for you and whatever your steps are. And then only when you find that you're really comfortable and confident in that, the step-by-step process, can you then give yourself some wiggle room or move some blocks around in the order of which you do them.
Absolutely.
To allow you to, you know, make a better decision by moving this block 3 steps back, or help you with more creativity in the process. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And like the title, that's a great example of something where it was like, I always started with something that was like, I need that to be powerful from the beginning. And since then, like it ends up being more often than not, it comes to me throughout the whole painting and the pulling the project together, or I'm sitting there and the video is uploading and I'm looking at the document. What do I title this now?
Yeah. That's also reality for sure.
Yeah. And I've come to where it's like, I use 3 words that I need to feel like I need to check the 3 boxes as best I can in every video title.
Can I guess one of them?
Sure.
Is one of them Warhammer?
No. It's 3. You'll understand. So okay. The first word is impactful.
Oh, like the video needs to be, the title needs to be.
Yes.
Okay.
The title needs to check these 3 boxes.
Okay.
Not use these 3 specific words.
Okay.
Right. So is the title impactful? Meaning it grabs you, it grabs your attention, it's interesting.
Okay.
The next one is succinct.
Okay.
So it can be a really impactful thing, but if it's 20 words long, it's going to pull away from the impact, and it's not giving me that tightness of wanting people to watch it.
Here, let's do this. I love examples. Give me an example of your favorite YouTube title that you did.
Oh, I don't even know.
I'm pulling your channel up right now, and I don't know, like maybe in the last 10, do you feel like any of these?
Yeah, the one on Vince, the one mini painter, I just can't stand.
Okay, that has impact, because the question is like, who is this person?
I can't stand him. That's impact.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a picture of Vince's big dumb face on the thumbnail.
And it's not so much characters that it's too many, and like you get to the point where it's like it gets cut off, and like you see the 3 dots.
Yes. Yep.
I forget how many characters that is, but that's an important limit. You don't want to go beyond that.
And that one really is stretching. And like I had reworked to try to find a way to make that tighter, but you can't make as much impact if you cut out too many key words. And the one to start that, I don't want to make it sound like I hate all mini painters. And it's just like this one person, again, going back to impact, this one person is just, he's a problem. right? It's just this one guy. What did this guy do? Why is he so terrible, right? Right? And so there's impact, there's distinct. And then the last one, which is oftentimes tough, is accuracy. It's hard to take a 15 to 25 minute video that in what we do is going to cover a lot of things. It's going to cover a lot of steps. It's going to cover a lot of intricacies. We're gonna get in the weeds together. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna try not to dive too deep. I'm gonna pull you back up and keep us moving quickly. But how accurate is that to generally what we're covering today? And that one is typically the hardest, because it's very hard to balance all three of those. And if you do balance all three of those, it might not be that might mean that it's not actually a good video. So there's an example of I didn't kind of realize that I was coming to that through my, creating videos. And I kind of realized what did I look at that what I was trying to achieve in the video title. And it's beside the whole process. And this now one of the reasons why I don't worry about the fucking title at all. If it comes to me naturally, or if I have an idea while I'm doing stuff, I have the doc pulled up and I just write it down. I don't care how long it is, how accurate it is, whatever. Usually by the time I get to titling the video, I have 3 to 8 potential titles that I've written down. And then when I have to make that decision and make the thumbnail and write it all in and stuff, I've done 80% of the work. I just need to tighten and just decide which fits best. So this is the kind of behind the scenes stuff. It's kind of it's things that matter, but it matters because we put all the work into a video that we really want you to watch because we think it has value, because that's the whole reason we put all those hours in to do it. And so we can't slough off here at the finish line.
Yeah, but this is also part of the video making process.
It is.
The packaging. And I've come to accept this a lot, where it's I've had this really disjointed opinion about YouTube, where it's all that matters is the video. I just have to make a great video and people will watch it. And that is not true. That is, you need to really get over yourself. And I had to get over myself in a big way to be able to really come to terms with the fact that everything matters. The thumbnail and title are very important. The first 7 seconds are very important. The first 30 seconds are very important. And they're important for different reasons, right? And one thing that's actually kind of interesting about your YouTube channel that some may say is not optimized for outreach is that your videos start with a skit, and it's so you have this video that's titled and thumbnailed, this one mini painter I can't stand. And then the first 15 seconds are a skit that maybe isn't related to that.
Yeah, they're usually not related at all.
And so that in the modern world of YouTube is kind of a no-no.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you that I think it's a no-no. I'm not telling you to stop doing that. I'm gonna be very clear about that. But someone may give you feedback where it's keep the skit in the video, just put it at the 1 minute mark.
Sure.
And in the first 7 seconds is one, ensuring your audience that you are going to answer the questions or the intrigue that you offer up in the title. And you're going to maybe offer something else that they didn't expect. And then up to 30 seconds, it's kind of like a high-speed summary of what maybe is going to happen in the course of this video with a hook. Or it's this is going to keep you here now. And then once you kind of get past that 30-second mark, now that person is invested and they're there. Because it's this interesting thing, right, of if someone goes to a movie and they pay $20 for popcorn and a ticket, the movie can start with credits. Could you imagine a YouTube video starting with credits? Something about not paying for a thing makes you feel so much easier about getting the fuck out if it's not what you want in seconds, right? But in a movie, they're there forever. And so with YouTube, you really have to optimize people's attention. And it's the currency they're paying with is their time. And so you really need to show that person immediately and kind of consistently throughout the video that you are going to satisfy in the way the title and the thumbnail promised. And that is a huge thing that I've learned this last year in general. That's really important. And I'm curious, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I have hemmed and hawed about getting rid of the
Don't get rid of
skits at the beginning. This is not just because of what you're saying right now, because that's the exact reason why. Because at a certain point, for the trajectory of growth and bringing on new viewers and people getting associated with your brand. The people that know and like my videos, they have an expectation to some regard of the skits, because that sells who I am, and they know it's my video.
Absolutely.
And they know this is silly and whatever.
It's important.
However, I think that it is actively detrimental for me gaining new subscribers.
I think I would slightly agree. Yeah.
Yes. So how does that evolve? Because the whole core of that was from the very beginning of my channel was like, I want it very clear that I am not serious, and that this is like, we're not here to do anything other than have fun. And
exactly.
If we pick up a couple things along the way, that's a bonus, right?
Yes.
That's it. So I think maybe it's become where it's a little bit more like, it's too on the nose, right? Instead of, because the thing is, when I look back at it, like what I think is like the lighthearted and the comedy and the funniest parts of my videos are not in the intro. They're actually spread throughout, and they're things that more often than not happen organically or happen during the script writing process. Or I think of something that's like, this would totally work because it's in line with what we're already doing, and you're already on board with a message, and then you can get them with something that's good, or I think it's funny, and then we just kind of roll with it. There, it's a little bit more forced because it's like it's a tight scene that is kind of oftentimes segmented from what we're talking about today in some regard. That said, I also get a lot of comments in there about people that really enjoy those.
They're good. Yeah.
So it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing.
What if your video was like that? Okay, you're making a video about how to feather, and it's like the intro is like, I'm going to teach you a blending method that's going to take your level of contrast from 0 to 10. And it's like, so that's like the 7-second thing. 30 seconds is like, maybe you show an actual example of it happening. And then it's like, boom, trailer rolls, trailer fades away, it fades away, and there's fucking Daryl. And he's like, the hell's feathering? You mean our turkeys or some shit? Like, like you do better than me, obviously, because it's your character. But it's like, okay, I'm hooked. I agree with the premise. I'm here. I know what I'm here for. Okay, there's some comedy. It's kind of related to the topic. It's done in 20 seconds, and then we're into it. It's like I feel like sometimes when I give feedback to people on YouTube, their audience is like, you don't get what makes that channel special, and it's like, that is not at all what I want to remove out of anyone's channel, is what makes them special. But like, just kind of moving and shifting things around then makes the video better for new people as well as old people, right?
Right.
And so that's a thing. Like, I see this all the time. Let me rant like a tiny bit of a YouTube channel with 500 subscribers, and they have a video that's got 800 views, and the video is like, what up, guys? Thank you so much for helping me hit 500 subscribers. Wah, wah, wah. I can't wait to make this next video that I'm in. It's like, motherfucker, I don't give a shit about any of that.
Yeah.
None of that. That all gets cut, or put that at the end of the video, Like, that is not important. Like, if you're a new person and you have not a big following, every single video you're making in the beginning should be optimized for people who don't know who you are at all. I'm
going to jump in and get me to that meat and potatoes
right away.
Let me
right
get my
away.
teeth sunk in. I often see that too, and you're going to see that even from veteran YouTubers that don't write scripts.
Yes.
Because if you are writing and you are editing your work, you will develop an eye for extraneous bullshit that does not need to be said. Or it's said in 4 sentences when it could have been said in 1.
Yes.
And that is so valuable. And when I look back at the things that I think from schooling, things that I like to do prior to getting into YouTube that helped me the most, it was being a good writer.
Yes.
It was being able, and I'm not saying a great writer. I'm not a great writer, but I did a lot of writing for work prior to doing this. And a lot of that was messages to either employees within my organization or external communications to people that were potential customers or existing customers.
This is a fancy way to say you wrote emails.
Yeah. So many emails. Newsletters. Wah, wah, wah. And so you got to get to what matters to people. And if you're sending an email, so I worked in HR. If I'm sending an email about changes to your medical, plan,
And that's in the subject,
yes, Like, tell me what's changed.
Yeah.
Tell me what's good. Tell me how this affects me.
Yeah.
And that needs to happen. And so it's hard to do on a regular basis to remind yourself of that, but there is tightening that can happen. And you're exactly right. You need to jump into, why are we here? Why are we excited? Why should we keep watching? And then the chances of somebody wanting to come back are exponentially higher if they made it all the way through one of your videos. Doesn't matter which one it was. If they made it all the way through and you kept their attention through the majority or all of the video, then your chance of them coming back is so much higher. So you just how do you hook them and then keep them?
Yep.
And for our hobby, it's kind of tricky because we kind of got to settle in to teach you something, right? And we kind of need you to be here for a while. So it's kind of pushing and pulling on trying to get them interested and hooked, but knowing that it's going to take me some time, right? In order to go through all these steps, in order for you to kind of hopefully have that light bulb moment, in order for you to see each of these things, it's a process. I'm going to need you to sit here with me. So it's kind of different than what YouTube wants us to do by the pea-sized attention span of the average human because of the social media world,
At a certain point, though, okay, YouTube is changing. So, we had short-form content come out, and it's been very popular, and a lot of platforms reacted to it by having their own short-form content. But an interesting survey was just done on how people spend their time with entertainment. And of all the streaming platforms, the highest percentage one is YouTube, even over Netflix. And the highest pie chart slice of people on YouTube are people watching YouTube on their TVs, on their connected devices, like an Xbox. And so it's like people are sitting on their couches watching YouTube videos, and what that means for behavior purpose is they're there for the long haul. Like, they're there to watch nitty-gritty details. And so we're seeing a lot of return to form of a lot of longer form content because of that increased habit of watching YouTube videos. So to some degree, the intro is important. The attention spans are short, but once they're there, that viewer is there. Like, they're hanging out, unless you really fucking lose the plot after the fact. But we stay on topic pretty well. You're painting the model, the videos about the model, etc.
It's hard to get too far off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, these are even in that video about helping that beginner. That was live, but the first 15 seconds were all scripted. I wrote them down because I wanted that intro to be tight and to be very specific and to say certain things and to convey certain things. I think I say, my name is Scott and I've been painting models for 20 years. And it's hopefully by saying that, I'm showing you that I am something of an expert and I know what I'm talking about. And this is Jimmy, and he's been painting for 2 years. And it's here is how he struggles. Here is I say I paint faces for a long time. And when I do that, I show examples of the faces that I have painted that I think are really good. And so it's okay, he's saying he's painted for 20 years. I can see how well he paints faces. I can make my own judgment call on whether or not he's good at it. Do I trust this person? And that all happens in the first 7 seconds, And so it's very thoughtful and thought out, even when the video isn't scripted. But writing a script is very important. But anyways, that's a little bit later on. So this is all stuff that is good to think about before you do literally anything. But oftentimes, and this is the case for this guy right here, there isn't an idea going in. So I'm painting this model, and my idea for this video right now is my first Lord of the Rings model in 15 years. Because those were the first models I painted when I was first getting into the hobby. And then the moment I moved to 40K, as a 6th grader, I don't know, an 8th grader, I never painted a single Lord of the Rings figure ever again. And it's is that an interesting title? That's kind of personal. Oftentimes personal things don't work super well because it's how does this relate to me as an individual? It's why do I care that Scott hasn't painted a Lord of the Rings model in 10 years? That's not important, The
only time that personal is a good thing is when you're quitting your job to do YouTube full time or your fucking channel's closing. One of those two. That's personal.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it's a hard sell.
Yes. So it's that's there's a lot of tiny little rules with YouTube, and that's kind of one of them as well. It's framing a video in a personal way doesn't sell very well because the person has to do the mental work in their head about why does this relate to me.
Yeah,
and
why do I care?
The title should do that. The thumbnail should do that. That is kind of its job. So I'm kind of floundering right now. I'm in the middle of painting this model right now, and I don't have a shtick. I don't have an idea for why it's special. The only thing that I have is that, okay, Patreon voted on this, and this is the one they wanted to see. I know in the back of my head, Lord of the Rings is kind of a popular game. People really enjoy it. It's got a really kind of passionate fan base, but it's like, how do I capture that fan base in a title and a thumbnail where I'm painting the model? And so I'm thinking about that while I'm painting the figure, which I imagine is what you do pretty often, right?
Yeah, I actually just thinking of a title.
Is that you're kind of zoning out thinking about one right now?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, I got it. I think I got it.
Nice. Okay. For what video?
For the Lord of the Rings video.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah.
Hit me with it. I love it. It's like live workshopping.
So the wordsmithing hasn't been done yet.
That's fine. Yeah. What's the idea?
Is Lord of the Rings actually Games Workshop best models or best game?
See, that's
something like that.
The tricky part is saying best game to me implies that I'm going to be playing the game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm thinking models or minis.
Yes. That is good because that
since when are Lord of the Rings Games Workshop best models?
Oh yeah,
something like that. So then on the thumbnail you can have the close up of this guy being painted, and then you got to have the customary close up of a Space Marine with the big red X through it.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
So, and the thing is about that is not. You can tell the story that you're going to tell, however you want to tell it, including your history with it in that video.
Yes.
And you're still going along that journey.
Exactly.
And you're being close to what is the story we're telling here and the things I'm going to teach you. But it's also, you have to grab the attention, and it has to not be so personal that people don't care.
Yeah.
I tell you this, I did a video where I painted a mini of my dog that just died, and people don't give a fuck.
Yeah, dude.
And people on the internet love dogs.
It's really, it was real emotions. You know? Real human emotions.
Yes. And that's not to say people are monsters. You have to take this cold-hearted approach to what do people attach themselves to, what causes them to want to watch, and what will keep them watching. And that video, there's an example of that video. The people that watched the dog painting video watched the whole fucking video, and it was a bazillion comments and really positive things. But it doesn't matter how great your video is if people aren't clicking on it. And that's the cold hard truth of this fucking industry. People get mad, and understandably so, and they fling around the term clickbait. And it's not clickbait if it doesn't work. And you don't get mad at me for making a thing that is what you click on. That's not my fault. If that didn't work, we wouldn't do it. We have to do it. Because if we don't do it, yes, there is some massaging and trying to find a way that isn't ridiculous and over the top and isn't related to our topic. I still need it to be related to what I'm doing. But that is what people click on. That is how humans work. And don't be mad at me for human psychology. That's not my fault. I worked so hard on making a cool painting video. I just want you to watch it.
Right. But
that's my rant.
We are not legitimizing lying right now.
Right.
There are right ways and wrong ways to do YouTube titles and thumbnails. There's a difference between lying and a difference between enticing someone to watch something.
Exactly.
Using the right language to get them excited about what it is you're doing.
Yes.
Framing it correctly. That is such an important part of the process.
Yes. And I don't think I actively think about every time I'm doing a title and a thumbnail of actively not making it clickbait, because there's a difference between enticing and clickbait. And clickbait is a bait and switch, right? So people throw that term out when that's not what's happening. They use that term a lot. And clickbait is a real thing. It's a bait and switch. We tell you this dramatic, over-the-top thing, but that's not actually what we deliver on in the video. Mm-hmm. We're just trying to create a dramatic version that causes you to click. Mm-hmm. That's a totally different thing. And one of my biggest pet peeves is all I'm trying to do is create an overemphasized version of what you're actually getting in a short period of words. And when you have to tighten it down to a short period of words, each of those words need to be impactful in order for you to be interested.
There's that word again, impactful.
Yes. So it's not about impact. It's not about clickbait. It's about impact. And impact drives action.
Here, I want you to give me some feedback. This video is coming out on Monday. I wanted to make a video about like the classic video style of like top 10 tips to make you a better painter, right? Very classic format across all of YouTube, not just unique to the hobby. And my first tip is about washes and about contrast paint and about how that stuff, if you just use it as it's intended to be used, can really slow you down as a hobby painter in terms of your growth because it's doing the thinking for you. Like you're not doing that thinking, right?
Yeah.
And so my thumbnail is, I'll do title first. My title is Your Favorite Paint is Slowing Your Growth. Bar, top 10 tips to paint better. If that top 10 tips to paint better gets cut off, I don't care. The first part that matters is that first chunk. Your favorite paint is slowing you down. And then here's the thumbnail. It's me pointing at a clipboard with a big ass picture of Nuln Oil, like the most ubiquitous type of that paint that everyone knows with a cancel sign on it.
Yeah.
I even remade the paint pot so you could more clearly see.
Nuln Oil is bigger font in that than on the actual bottle.
Exactly. So you can actually read it in the thumbnail, you know? Like that's tip number one. So it's like that is a huge thing that captures my GW audience. This is a thing that relates to them. They really understand it, but it's like controversial. It's like this thing I love is slowing my growth. Like hopefully the question is why is it? And it's number one. It's like it's the first tip in the thing. So I'm hoping to get that audience and immediately deliver on that vibe right away. And part of the reason why people ask me like, why don't I use my intro anymore? It's too goddamn long, you know? It's like 5 or 6 seconds. It needs to be like 2 or 3 seconds, you know? It needs to be like way shorter. I think intros are important, but I think what a lot of channels get wrong is they just like copy some stupid like intro template for After Effects. It's like fire and bullshit and like
it's fucking fade in and fade out of metal music.
Yeah, it's just too long. It's just too long. And so I feel like my intro is too long. I feel like I can make it shorter and like kind of refresh it a little bit so that it shows you, yes, I am professional. I am doing this consistently. Like I'm not just a random one-off YouTuber, but also you're not losing that energy that like that first 7 seconds is really earning you, you know? What do you think about that title and thumbnail? And that the premise of that video and like why I made that choice?
I think that all solid, stand by them.
Okay.
I'd crop in even a little closer on the thumbnail.
Okay.
Not a ton, but like, you know, you could cut out the border of all that, just kind of zoom in another 15%.
Okay.
And then the question I have, I don't know if I have the answer or not. Do you need that second part of the title? Does that actually matter? Because you're going to, in that first 7 seconds or 10 seconds of the video, you're going to say, listen, there are 10 things that have been bugging me about slowing down and making your painting less productive. Let's get to it.
I don't actually say that, you know? And actually, so what is in the script and what I removed from the video is I say number 1, number 2, number 3. I remove all of that. I just flow right into the next one because each tip flows into the next one naturally, thematically. Like they are all related in a way. And so I never even say 1, 2, 3, but there are 10 individual tips. I just removed them because I don't think I need to say them. I don't think it's important.
Yeah, and if that's not important and you're not using that as like your guidelines throughout the video, I don't know if it's needed.
Do you think it hurts that it's there?
I can only speak for me personally because I don't have metrics or data to back it up. But when it's longer, even if the first part gets me, it's just like I feel like you've not given me a succinct message. And like I don't,
interesting,
because that's what matters. That first line matters, and it's a good one.
Yeah.
Don't give them any what's the term? Don't give them any slack. Don't give them any excuse to second guess.
Okay.
And that second part, I don't think is actually going to get somebody to click when they weren't on the first part. But I do think that second part might make them second guess, or sometimes people read in blocks too, where they see that it's a lot of words and it causes them to skim over it.
Okay.
If it's fewer words, they can't, like, it's sight reading. They just immediately see it. But if it's too long, they have to go through and digest it all and then make a decision. Choose what you want. I don't know which one's right or wrong. If it was my video, I'd cut that second part.
Okay.
Just just because you have impact, you're succinct, and it's tying in with what you're doing. And you're not selling them at the beginning of the video on the 10 things anyway.
Right.
So why are you forcing it into the title?
Right. Which that would be a mistake, by the way, if you're listening along. If I were to do a brief overview of the 10 tips, that would, no. Like, just start with the thing. Like, just get into it right away. It should just be naturally engaging. All right, cool. Appreciate the feedback. So this kind of came from a conversation about us saying that we don't always have the idea figured out when getting into painting a video. And that comes from needing to create videos at a pace. But if you were just starting out and doing this for the first time, I think what an ideal world looks like is you have a subject you want to make a video about. And it can be about so many different things. It can be about a how to do this thing. It can be a watch me do this event, this stunt. Like there are so many formats for YouTube videos. It's insane. And then once you have that idea figured out, then you pick a model that is appropriate for that idea, whether because it matches narratively, it matches because it has like the right shapes for demonstrating a thing you want to demonstrate. I think in a perfect world, you figure out the shtick and you figure out the model that works inside that shtick. I think for me, I like to paint things that I like, and so I just start with what I like, and then I just paint that, and then oftentimes try to work it into that. But I think if you're like full-on min-maxing YouTube, you would do it the other way. You would pick a model that worked with the idea you're trying to do.
Yeah. I think from what I get most often from people that start new channels or people that so much on Facebook groups are like, oh, I'm thinking I'm going to start a channel because I haven't seen anyone do a video on how to paint gold dragon scales. And that always raises up a caution alarm for me because if your purpose for starting a channel was a specific thing, how to do a very specific thing, that is not unique. Maybe that one specific thing is unique, but the channel needs to be an entity, a living entity on its own that people can describe your channel and who you are and that kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And that's why I've always struggled with like just showing a thing. The title of the thing is what I'm doing in the video, and then I do that one thing in the video. Unless you are grandfathered in, and there are a couple of those. There's Dr. Faust and there's Vinci V. Those are the two that come to mind. And they have such a catalog, and they have ground themselves out with hundreds or thousands of videos that they have this massive catalog. But that then becomes who they are. Like, they are the grand librarians of all these massive amounts of work. And that is a mountain that is so hard to construct from a pile of mud. That they have managed to do by sheer force of will.
Right, yeah.
The tenacity of never giving up and never not putting out a video.
Yeah.
And that's it. But like, I find that you want to be able to just go with whatever excites you. And that doesn't have to be a tangible thing. Like, the model excites me. This idea of fucking with the new paint range excites me.
Yes.
This trying a challenge for myself that I know is probably going to end poorly, but what can I learn from it, or what can I lean back on in my experience as a painter and share that? That excites me. Trying to find something new and exciting that I've never tried before, and spending dumb amounts of money on expensive hobby products that they're either awesome and I can recommend them, or they're shit and now you don't have to spend your money on them. That excites me. So there's a lot of things, but like, I don't need to know what the final video is going to be about. I just need to know what excites me. And that's not how I started. I thought I needed to know, I thought I needed to have my full list of a really strong video idea that I could write down in one sentence before I would start making that video. Mm-hmm. And again, this is like, learn the rules before you can feel comfortable on how you can make them, bending them work for you, is like structure, right? Having that structure and feeling like I can lean on the fact that I had a strong video idea and concept before I even began working. And that's important. But I think once you get your rhythm down, I found it so much more freeing and so much healthier for me and less stress on myself to not have it all figured out before I start turning the camera on.
Yeah.
you know?
And it's working. I think that's very important. I'm always so questioning of YouTube channels that's here are things that YouTubers are doing in 2024, and the video has 5,000 views. It's like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, I'm not going to listen to you. It's important to mention that this is the way that John makes videos, and it's proven to work, for years, So even though maybe the videos that I'm watching may say best practices suggest something else, the thing with YouTube is there's so many paths to success. There's so many ways to do things the right way and find a viewer and find an audience and be successful. And that can be freeing for some people and really stressful for others, because it's nice to have a path, but sometimes there isn't really a path. But anyways, I'm hoping that what you guys are seeing, and this can go on for so many more hours, and I think it can go on for a little bit longer even yet in this episode, but we have spent so long just talking about the ideation process and the before part and coming up with a way to frame a video, because just simply painting a Lord of the Rings model and saying, I painted X Lord of the Rings model and having the model thumbnail, that is not enough.
It is enough.
It's not enough.
It's enough if you're Henry Cavill doing it.
Oh, yeah, yes. But if Henry Cavill did that 15 times in a row, I think it would drop.
Yep.
I think it would drop,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly
but you're
right.
totally right. Yes, that is enough novelty just by itself for
Right.
a couple videos.
And there is something to be learned on things like that. There is no idea is a bad idea, a failure of an idea, a failure of a video. But what are the key components to actually make that thing work?
Yes.
And one of those is yes, you have celebrity, right? When I painted that big statue for Joe Manganiello and then mailed it to him, that video started off just like the one you're talking about here. It started off okay. It was a 7 out of 10, a 6 out of 10. And then at about somewhere between 10 and 15 days, it popped out of my bubble and it hit the nerd sphere in general, and it shot to the moon. Because if I just paint this big Dragon Man statue that's like a D&D character, that is Joe Manganiello's D&D character from his game, me just painting that and just saying, oh, this is a cool, larger mini I'm painting, blah, 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 I'll get my core audience and it'll still be a valuable video. But what makes that video successful is trying to pull what strings and knowing what string to pull and what do you want to go with it? What angle do you want to give for it?
That's a great idea. There was awesome advice I got one time from a guy named Ryan Trahan, who's a big YouTuber. I listened to a podcast he was on, and he's like, literally sit down right now and come up with 100 video ideas and give each one a title and a synopsis, like what happens in the video, like why you're doing the video, and then how you're going to frame it. I could totally see you just sitting down, doing a little sesh, and being painting a model for Joe Manganiello. That is a shtick. Now it doesn't matter necessarily what model you paint, but you picked one that was narratively appropriate, a D&D model, because he is into D&D. You're doing that process, but maybe just in a little bit of different order, maybe. But that's a fucking phenomenal idea for a video. Okay, so we'll paint the model. I don't think we really need to get into the nitty gritty about camera equipment. This is not the place for it.
But it is very, very important.
yeah, it definitely is.
It is a constant. Here's one thing that I think is an interesting thing to note for all of you that I didn't realize getting into this. You will always be wanting to upgrade, tweak, and change how you have everything set up. So your experience as a viewer of just seeing the thing clearly that I'm painting is ideal. And it's never perfect. And it's always sometimes 6-12 months will go by and I haven't changed that much stuff. But don't get me wrong, I've always wanted to that whole time. It is a constant battle.
Yeah.
And that is something that's very unique to what we do is
the videography challenge.
Videography challenge.
It's hard. It's not easy.
Yeah. And the thing is the barrier of entry has never been lower than it is right now. You can get one of those tiny little stands, put your phone on there and do it with your phone. And so you can do it. But sometimes when you're trying to show certain things, you can't do that. That's just, people are gonna be like, what? Huh? What am I looking at? Or,
yeah.
Because so much of our storytelling and our education in this is visual based. We have to lean on the words sync up with the visuals to help check that box, to help the learning, facilitate the learning. Right. And so you really rely on those visuals and understanding that ebb and flow and how those things can aid each other in a way that they couldn't on their own.
Yes. Yes. So that's really interesting, actually. But I have a question for you about the painting process. While you are painting and you're making your video, do you take notes? Do you ever address the camera during the process? Does anything happen during the process regarding movie making? Are you just filming some B-roll shots and you painting? Are you taking notes at all or no?
I always have my document up. So I always start a new Google Word doc for each video. And so I have a section that is notes and B-roll,
okay,
and important things. So as I'm going through the process, I jot them down, just bullet points. Okay. So I'll make sure that I can reference them later. And sometimes those things are so profound, is like they then dictate the whole video.
Right.
And you don't force yourself to that. You don't say, I got to come up with something amazing in the next 2 days while I'm painting this thing, or this video is just going to fall on its face. Don't force it on yourself, but just be present while you're painting. What are you thinking? What is exciting you? Are you struggling with? That kind of a thing. And make sure I have a place where I can jot them down quickly so I don't forget them.
Yes. I think that is definitely the best way to do it. I think for a super long time, I didn't do that. And what I would do is, at the end of a day, I'd go and put all my footage on the computer. And at the end of the process, I'd have all my footage there. And then I would write a script, and I'd literally look at every single clip that I have, like for like 5 seconds, just to see what it is and what I'm doing. And then I'd write a script based on that. And then I would have a full rough draft of a script that was like literally the entire painting process of what I actually filmed. And then I would trim and I would trim and I would trim. And I would get rid of the things where it's like, okay, you don't need to see how I painted the belt. That's not important. Or you don't need to see this part, that part's super similar to another part. You know, I start to trim the fat off of the video so it was leaner and faster and more engaging. And then I would go and record it and then make it. And the reason why I did that was because I wanted to write a script that was supported by the visuals that I actually captured.
You're right.
Because very early on, I would think that I showed the thing that I'm trying to describe.
Yeah.
And then I'd be searching for a clip. And I'd be like, fuck, I recorded the VO, but I don't have nothing to really support this thing that I'm trying to show.
Or all the clips I have are fucking out of focus.
Exactly. Yeah,
My
exactly.
hair's in the way.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so that's why I developed that. But now I think I'm coming around to, I should be basically pseudo writing the script as I do it. I think that's faster than me spending literally a full day doing what I just described. And I think it might make for a better video because like the thoughts are in time, in real time, and they're more meaningful and stuff like that. So I've been starting to have a lav on me at all times, and I will stop and address the camera and talk to the camera, and you can still hear that VO over me painting, but I can also cut to my face saying it as well. And a lot of that stuff never makes it past the cutting room floor. It never makes it into the final video because I'm just like talking about some bullshit that's like way too nerdy, you know, and like no one gives a shit about that. But like oftentimes, you know, half the other time it will make it in and it will be interesting and relevant and in the moment. And I think that helps to make the video making process a lot faster and not that much worse, you know. The final product isn't like that much worse.
All right, we're about, I mean, we could, like you said, we could talk about this for another 6 hours, but I don't know that all the goody peepees would want to listen to that, nor would I deprive us of tendies for lunch. So I kind of want to put a bow on this and bring it back to, a question to the goody peepees. In the hobby videos specifically, the channels that you really enjoy, can you communicate what about them? Not maybe like a specifics, but like what is the thing that really adheres you, that you really know that like I'm gonna watch every one of their videos, or I've never heard of a channel. What really gets you to engage and want to come back for more? So I'm asking that question, but I'll ask it also to us, and any examples that you might have.
Yeah. I love, it's kind of unfortunate because it's a really hard video to find, but I love watching a long creative process. Like I love watching a thing get made over the course of 20 minutes that took 3 weeks to make.
Yeah.
So like I love watching someone make a big dining room table or a big gaming table or a full cosplay costume or like an amazing big diorama. Like I love seeing that process and seeing not all of the steps, but like the highlights of the steps to like achieve that thing. It's really like I feel super greedy watching that because like I get some sense of accomplishment seeing the thing get made, but without having to invest any of the time. So I really like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I understand that too, and I think when you look at channels within our hobby, here, why don't you go beep? That's us talking. So you may hear some beeping in the background, and that's from our group Facebook messenger of all of us
raving about a Golden Demon entry.
Yeah, we're talking about Golden Demon pieces in the middle of recording. Professional. When I look at like hobby channels in our sphere, parts where they really kind of blew up, I'm talking specifically of Midwinter Minis and Squidmar, is this massive project that was like a huge heavy lift that none of us normies are ever going to do. And we don't want to do, but it's still satisfying and it's about something that we really enjoy. And seeing all those hundreds of hours of work in a number of 15-minute videos.
It doesn't need to be that necessarily. Like I could watch someone paint a whole army in a video. You know, like that'd also be a thing that someone who's normal would do, but also would be like a huge project in like one sitting.
Right.
But like who the fuck's gonna make that video?
Yeah. Who's gonna make an army in a video?
Yeah, that's insane.
I think not me.
Yeah, I mean you have.
I have. I've killed myself. Like, yeah. I mean I totally do that. I was just like, oh man, I gotta knock out a video this week, and like
I'm just gonna paint an army.
My wife and daughter are like gone on a vacation or something or somewhere, and I'm like, yep, then I can do it. But because that means I can paint for 12 to 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
That's not my regular life. So yeah,
what do you like?
I like people that I like.
So it's a very personality driven thing.
Yeah, because there are people whose personalities, and it doesn't mean they're bad people or I don't think they're bad at being a hobbyist or whatever. But if they're not interesting for me, I do not care. And that was truly one of the reasons why I got so excited about YouTube and hobby YouTube to begin with, was because I was like, you and Kenny Boucher, basically brothers, basically the same dude.
Yeah.
And you weren't the same dude at all, but it was like these interesting personalities that I loved your excitement. I loved that you could communicate really well, and I felt like I could see the true you. And then Kenny was like, what the fuck am I watching? This is so amazing. And I know he's got this wealth of knowledge and this level of confidence. And he was just both entertaining for me in this just obtuse way while being, I still felt like I'm learning. And both of you was that. So, and now I see this in the next generation. And that doesn't mean that they're all the same. Like 52 Miniatures is a great example of, he's so interesting and entertaining, but he's so fucking low energy and dry humor. And it's just like, everything is this beautiful story where no word is not there for a purpose. I love that. And then Jay from Eons of Battle is like his passion and his hobby. He's just inviting you in. He's opened the door, and I want to tell you about this and go through this with you. Yeah. Like those, it's the people that really I connect myself with. It brings us to an interesting thing with Vincey V. I know Vincey V so well as a person now, and he's got so much depth and such an interesting person. And I watch his videos because I could see like these little glimpses of the real Vince that is not the norm of who he presents himself with on those videos. And I'm like, I know that he has got such a tight deadline for all the things he does, but I'm like, Vince, just let the people see you. Let them see the true Vince. But like he couldn't knock out all the education he needs to do in painting rose gold scale mail in 12 minutes if he brings out too much of Vinci V. Like, he can't unleash the beast and still be the librarian. So the strict technomancer that is Vinci V. That's what I love.
You love personality. I think that's a great answer. I think a lot of people really like and they connect with people, which is, you know, why YouTube is as successful as it is, because it allows you to expose your personality and what your interests are to a large audience of people, and they can relate to that. And I think that's a huge thing with social media in general. It's relatability. Like when you share a TikTok or a YouTube short with someone, it's because you found it funny and you think they're going to find it funny, right? It's like that is relatability is so fucking big. It's so big. And so that's the last thing, I suppose. When you're making videos, don't be afraid to expose your personality, because relatability is what probably earns you the majority of your viewers, honestly. Yeah. Not having a fancy camera, not having a tight edit, not having a good script, just being an enjoyable person.
Not using the correct color gray paint from the correct manufacturer to paint it the correct way. Mm-hmm. That's digging in the weeds, and you don't want to be in the weeds. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's what, when people ask me, I get people that email me, reach out or message me and ask about starting a new channel and advice I have, and, you know, what should I do? And they throw out ideas and that kind of stuff. And the number one thing I say to every single one of them is, you need to showcase you, be open enough to be you. And if that doesn't work, then it was never going to work to begin with. There was no bells and whistles or tricks or special thing that you could have done differently that would have made it a success. You have to be willing to be kind of humble and open. Like, you have to open yourself up to that. And it's a scary thing, because it's the internet. People will crush you for that. And you just have to be able to say, this is just who I am, and be that person. And people will adhere to that, because people can feel authenticity. You know, people know that, and that let that shine, and the rest will work itself out, or it won't, and it wasn't meant to be, and you can move on and find something else that exciting you want to do for your life. But, that's just it. And I think a hard truth is, I was not born. I loved basketball. I wanted to be a professional basketball player when I was a kid. I played basketball all through high school, and I played intramural and competitive basketball even at college. I was never going to make it in the NBA.
Where is this going? I'm scared.
Not everyone is born with all the correct tools to be able to do every job. As much as we were told when we were kids, you can grow up and be whatever you want to be. And so I think everyone should try, and there are things you can get better at, and there's things you could do. Some people are going to be great at it, and some people are going to struggle with it. It's just who you are. And so all I'm saying is, if you really want to push and do it, you should do it, and just start. Just make videos. Don't wait for the perfect camera. Don't wait for the perfect lighting. Don't wait for you having 10 videos all figured out and scripts written before you start. Just start making them, and you'll get a hang of it. But it's, you know, there's a reason why we're not everybody plays in the NFL, or not everybody is a actor in Hollywood, and it's just like, we all have different skills.
Yeah, you need quite a few skills to be a YouTuber.
It's rough.
You need to wear a lot of hats.
You're a small business owner.
Yep.
That's the big thing that I say to people when people ask what you do or whatever, and say that I own my own business.
Be like, what are your thoughts on buying business insurance? Yeah. Do you like the idea of that? That is a part of your job, you know?
Yeah, there's all sorts of boring adulting stuff. It just, instead of us having a storefront that's next to Kinko's, we just have a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You know, that's part of it.
Yeah, I want to shout out a small creator as a way to kind of end this, just because I want to spread some of that love. That's kind of the whole idea of this kind of podcast episode, is to empower smaller creators to make better videos and make maybe, if they want to, make a career out of this if they're interested in that. One small creator that's making videos that I'm really enjoying watching in the hobby is a guy called CC Minis. And I'm a little bit biased because he's a patron of mine, but I can really see the effort he is putting into his videos, and really trying to follow like those best practices that I mentioned before. Like I didn't tell him these things. Like he learned them from other people, and he's really trying and doing a great job. I really appreciate that work, and I think his videos are great. Check out Nick CC Minis. Do you have any small creators that you are aware of? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I guess I kind of am right now.
I was thinking, I know that there are a bunch, but I
it's hard to remember all their names, right?
Right.
Yeah, because you might watch like you might watch a video of them because they pop up in your feed, and that's it. You watch one and then you're gone, right? And so it's hard to remember their channel name. Another one is called The State of Play. He's a European creator, and he made a video that I watched a long time ago where it was like, I have 6 paints and I'm gonna mix like 100 colors from these 6 paints, and like he actually goes through the process of showing you how to do that, and like the like your considerations for doing that, and where you should start, and how if you start somewhere else, it would impact like your end 100 colors. He has a lot of very crunchy videos that are like well paced and well edited that I really enjoy as a fellow nerd. So yeah, State of Play and CC Minis. Check them out. I answered for it, John. There you go.
Thanks.
Welcome to the end of this podcast episode that has a still image of us because we yet again ran out of SD card footage. This is not, I guess it is a tech problem, but it's one that's hard to see coming. We should just buy a bigger
SD card. But the problem is I think we had to do that before, and then we just end up using however much we have.
Yeah, I feel like the 228 gigabyte SD card limit is a good constraint for us.
Yeah, this is like how Americans eat. However much food you put in front of us, we eat it all.
Yes, yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah,
Same thing.
Absolutely.
But if you're an audio listener, you don't know.
You don't care. You're like,
you don't give a shit.
Audio doesn't take up any space.
Yeah, it doesn't take
We've got fucking 98 hours left. We could go on for a while.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But yeah, if you guys like the podcast, even if we have no footage, you want to support it, there are many ways to do it. A lot of things linked down in the description below, but notably, you can support us on Patreon, like we mentioned before, getting access to the extended episode. You can also support us by buying merch on our Teespring, linked below. We have sweatpants, t-shirts, cups, all sorts of fun things with 3 different top designs, all done by some fans, some hired people, but they're all really cool, fun, thematic designs that relate to the podcast in fun ways. Also, you can share our podcast with your other nerd friends you think might enjoy it. You can give us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. And that's kind of about it.
Yeah, that sounds like all the things.
All the things.
We appreciate each and every one of you goody peepees because you are a goody peepee, whether or not you think you are. You are. Mm-hmm. So thank you. We love you. And we're going to be back before you know it. But until then, we'll catch you on the
Flippity flop.